of the Clan MacLeod.
My name is Ichabod Crane.
Name's MacGyver. Colonel Jack O'Neill, SG-1.
I am Batman!
Hello, I'm the Doctor.
So there's this man, he has a time machine. Up and down history he goes, zip, 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 getting into scrapes.
For years, and maybe more than that, right, Mac? But how long has it been? Has it been 6, 7 years ago?
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
Hey, now wait a minute. Now wait just a minute.
Human beings were not meant to sit in little cubicles staring at computer screens all day.
I've got something for you.
Oh, merci, Sonor. Just one more thing, sir.
Oh, boy.
Just like that. Bing, bang, boom.
At this point, I'd settle for the boom.
They'd love it here, don't you think?
This is what I'm saying.
And by the way, where is your podcast? Tell everybody that's here.
Welcome to the Never Gets Old podcast. The podcast of all we love in TV, movies, music, and comics. With your hosts, Mac Jackson and Nathan Shell. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Facebook, and YouTube. Donations at paypal.com, at macwjackson@comcast.net.
Listen to my taping songs, DJ saying that they're too long. His guitar may be silenced, but his soul goes on and on. Alone again, alone again. His stories were like us, a beginning and an end, alone again. Now I listen in my room.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of the Never Gets Old podcast. I'm your host, Mac Jackson.
And Nathan Shell.
And buckle up, as we usually say. This is going to be a NewsApalooZa.
Yeah.
Lots to catch up on because as much as Nate and I text, there's things that, well,
slip through the cracks.
The ambassador of our show, Mikey, has been after me to get you on so we can catch up, because when I have a guest on, it's usually about them.
Yeah.
But when it's us, we could talk freely about random whatever.
Oh yeah, we can talk about the more broad stuff.
Well, he, and take a look, Nate, has made.
Oh Jesus!
Oh wait.
Shopping list.
Wait.
No, I could see that it was double-sided.
Yeah, he has made a list for us to go over, because not only are there things that we have to go over, but there's things that he wants your thoughts on, because apparently it's been quite a while since we've even talked about anything. So shows have come and gone, or at least first seasons of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just dive in. This weekend. All right, I don't even know where to begin. I'm going to be crossing off stuff as we go. So
I'd offer you a pen, but you're
no, this isn't a pen.
No, that looks like a cap.
That's a pen.
That's a pen.
I don't know what this is for, though. Anyway, okay. So this weekend was San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes.
One of the biggies. And lots of things, even just yesterday, was revealed. Mikey said, it's probably a good thing that you guys didn't podcast yesterday, because you would have been done and the big Marvel news would have come through.
Yeah.
And you would have missed out on it. So, all right.
Because we were in the midst of it.
Exactly. So let's go down some lists, and boy, there's a lot of stuff. The biggest one,
start at the top.
The one that means the most to me on a personal level, we are getting, as we knew we would,
Mm-hmm.
but now it's official, a new Daredevil show.
Yes. It may be a single season one-off, but you know what? I'm fine with it.
He already said it's the first season.
Yeah.
So we're getting more than one season.
Well, no, the next season might be dubbed a different subtitle.
Oh, yeah.
Which is fine.
This is called Daredevil Born Again, which the people who weren't paying attention are like, oh, they're going to do the Born Again story. Hold up. They already did the Born Again story. It was called the third season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they're calling it Born Again because to us it's Born Again. That's why they're doing.
Well, they might like
that.
They might continue some of the threads and stuff that didn't necessarily get to fully play out. But either way, I'm here for it.
I'm so thrilled. And 18 episodes.
I didn't hear the total of the episodes. But
18.
That's amazing.
That's amazing because we've been, as much as when we'll go through these shows one at a time after we go through this news, but the shows that we've gotten from Marvel so far have been fantastic.
Oh, absolutely.
But short. They're like, you know, they're very compact and
it's 6 to 10 episodes, which
more like origin stories, and I'm not complaining. But the greedy side of me goes,
you want more.
Come on, like give us a network would give you 22 to 24.
Yes, but a network would also have half the season be fluff.
Sure, but again,
it's that mixed bag. I mean, as long as it's 18 solid episodes of story and nothing that could be literally taken out of that sequence and be utilized and not be relevant to the overall arc, I'm fine. You know,
and that's the thing, because I love that they go, look at people have been bugging us for Daredevil for the last forever.
With that number of
to
episodes,
pay that.
I'm wondering if technically we're actually going to be getting 2 seasons in 1 season.
Here's what I think they're going to do. And again, speculation, because we just got the news.
Yeah, we're literally dealing with breadcrumbs right now.
But I'll take it, and I trust Marvel, and I guarantee, because they already said that they're setting up to do, after their first season of Daredevil, they're going to give us Defenders.
Yes.
So I guarantee, guessing, that they are going to have him run into, wouldn't it be great if he ran into Spider-Man and they started that relationship instead of waiting for the movies? Let's have Spider-Man in there and have them
because they already established a brief connection in 1 film.
Right. So you could also have him run into his other Defenders friends, which I'm sure they will.
Well, and Jess pointed something out because she'd noticed relatively recently Mike Coulter and Kristen Ritter were
together filming something.
And she looked
very Jessica Jones-ish.
Yeah, like her outfit might not necessarily been spot on, but like it's like, huh?
Yep. Oh
that's, curious.
That's not a coincidence. They're already filming. For all I know, it could be for something in Echo.
Could be. You never know.
So he could run into them. Let's think of who he could also run into and setting up Defenders. Moon Knight.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Possibly Shang-Chi. I mean, he doesn't have to be part of it, but I mean, he's a street level martial arts guy. So
yeah, I mean, he could pop in to just interweave, like, and that's the thing I think people are starting to realize Marvel's trying to do. They're trying to give people in the TV shows, they're trying to interweave to show that yes, you know, these characters all exist at the same time and everything. That way they could do a movie that's centered on 1 or 2 characters instead of having half the MCU in that film. Still acknowledge that yes, these other characters are existing and doing their thing.
But you have 18 episodes to not only do the best series that they've already been doing, you're going to have those episodes. You could do single storyline episodes, longer arcing, blah, 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 blah. But I guarantee they're going to give us cameos galore.
It would be foolish of them not to, and they have already shown a willingness to do a cameo here or a cameo there.
Speaking of Daredevil and cameos, She-Hulk.
Yes.
Holy crap. Now,
so, you know, I told Jess that the trailer dropped and we're sitting there watching it on my phone, and it got towards the end, and just that brief moment where you see the backflip, I leaned forward, and then when they did the zoom in, and as they were doing the zoom in and cutting to the logo, Jess is like, hold the fuck up, hold up, what, you know, and so I backtracked it and I'm like, oh my God, I think I see yellow. Cool, they're going with that look, you know.
At least
amalgam of what the Netflix suit looked like,
right?
And adding just that splash of yellow.
Well, Mikey's thrilled because we've watched it 100 times since last night, and He's like, they use the same mold from the Netflix shows, that chest cut out and everything. And it's great because they can, they're not going to hang on to the yellow.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I said to Mikey, watch them go. They'll do his appearance and they'll have a big battle scene. And in the end, she'll look at him and go, why is your outfit yellow? And because he's blind, he'll go, my outfit's what now?
Yeah, I mean.
It shows him going back to Melvin, who makes the suits, and just be standing there and go, come here, you.
Yeah.
I have to have a word with you.
What? You told me it didn't matter.
Right? And that's,
you should be able to tell.
And that's the it's smart because people are going to want to see the yellow, even though it's not the favorite, but this is the show to do it in.
Yeah.
Let him have it. Maybe he starts Echo wearing the yellow one and then they switch over.
If something happens where maybe it gets damaged or whatever MacGuffin-y type thing they want to do to make that transition.
And they may I'm thinking they're going to save his official red one with the logo, which I swear to God, they better finally give us a logo. They'll save that for his own series.
Probably. I would say that might be the real reasoning behind the rebirth.
Born Again.
Thank you. Branding is bringing him into that more branded suit, basically.
Right. I mean, it's smart.
How it's gonna look. It's probably going to be not too far off from the suit that he's already got, aside from the yellow, go to red, and not necessarily put it dead center in the chest, but it'll be somewhere.
They better. At this point, they better put it dead center in the chest. That he's a Marvel superhero. We've got how many years without a freaking logo? They're not going to do the Ben Affleck little tag in the corner.
Oh no! I don't think it'll be like the Ralph Lauren whatever
logo. Yeah.
But it would probably be incorporated somewhere on the chest. When I say dead center, I mean like dead center down.
Oh
here.
no! On the chest. Definitely on the chest.
Not necessarily dead center, but pretty damn close to being center. You know what I mean?
Yes, definitely. Well, I mean, again,
because even like Captain America's, if you look at his suit and where his iconography elements were, because they're on a human being, they're not going to be spot on like with the comics. It's going to be more
logical. They're going to do it. And I said, we were talking about this yesterday because we're all sitting around in this god awful heat. It's 94 degrees today, by the way.
Yeah. I don't even want to look at what the real feel is.
Right. I mean, it's got this weekend. We're just sitting around moaning and groaning and sweating. Yeah. Anyway, but we were talking about that. We were saying about how outfits in the movies and TV shows that's the one area where you could take a little liberty to be more practical, because when they were creating these outfits for the comics, and Alex Ross does a great commentary on this, they were basically just drawing naked bodies and coloring them with outfits. So
a skin tight outfit.
And everybody was thinking spandex, so that's how it became spandex. But in reality, you can't do that because it wouldn't hold up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Plus, you'd look weird running around almost naked.
Yeah.
So Marvel in particular, in most of their tweaks for these outfits, Captain America being the example I used, so much better, so much more practical, because I always hated, even way back when reading Captain America books, he has pirate boots, he's got big poofy gloves, and it never made any sense. Now the what do you call it? The mesh that was at top is great, but they never, up until 9/11 alterations, they never addressed it. They never said, this is why this looks this way. It was just scalloped in the uniform.
Yeah.
Well, then they come about with the Avengers outfit, which was very close to comic booky, but again, was too skin tight and it looked kind of stupid on his face. Once they went to the helmet, the military boots, the gloves that made sense, that were tight to him, I'm like, yeah, there. Yeah. And then the comics were smart enough to follow that and change it, and it looks fantastic. Now, Marvel doing what Marvel Comics always does, they get lazy and just revert back to the easy, what they always knew. So now he's back to swashbuckler boots
Yeah.
And you're like, you're making him a joke again. Like, make him he's a soldier. Let him have soldier.
Have
you know
that,
what I mean?
Yeah, have that callback to where he started out as. Absolutely.
Right. Because when they did it originally, they didn't care. They weren't. We
Well,
want flashy.
Yeah, you're also talking, nearly 100 years ago when he
right.
was too.
Exactly.
I mean, that's like with Batman. Over time, you see his suit, instead of being the skin tight, where you look like you might not even be able to put a playing card between his calf and his boot. It's he's got it more of a tactical boot, combat boot type thing. The belt actually has like a buckle and has definition.
And the mask is a helmet that he takes off now, as opposed to one that he pulled. I always loved, as a kid, I loved the one that hung over his back of his neck.
Yep.
But if they want to say no, it's an actual piece that comes apart, and the neck is
pop loose,
and the neck is a different part of the cape, and fine, I'll take it.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't ruin the look of them, there's always ways around it. When they
I mean, and that's the thing with costume design in general. You can do harken backs to a character's origins and original looks and still make it look like it would make sense.
Lot of people popping up in She-Hulk.
Yes,
we're getting more of the Abomination, and I love it.
Did you see that there's a phone number associated with She-Hulk now? And if you call it, it's actually an advert for the new division. It's like you're hearing the okay, here we're going to do a trial run for the audio commercial or whatever, and it's a hoot. It is an absolute hoot. So if you get the chance, I can shoot you the picture with the phone number on it.
Yeah, later on, please. What else? Well, Echo.
I did not get to see a whole heck of a lot.
They didn't show a whole lot. But basically, they just said that they're in it.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that we're getting further confirmation of, yes, these shows didn't get abandoned. They're actually happening. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Echo, because I was really intrigued with the way they presented the character in Hawkeye.
Did you read the comic, the Daredevil book where she first appears?
I did not, and I know it's on my to-read list because somebody, Mac, keeps harping on me about it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it was right after, it was early on after the Kevin Smith written story that kind of kicked off the Marvel Knights and made Daredevil the spotlight like he should be, and blah 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 blah. It's a heck of a thing because, again, she's deaf and he's blind, and to have them try and communicate with each other in their alter egos, not knowing that they're each, it's really good and amazingly written. And then, of course, she goes on to have other adventures. I was afraid she was going to be one of those new characters that they go, all right, well, she was in that story, we don't really care enough about her, she can go away. Then Bendis comes along and goes, no, I'm using her in his Avengers run too.
And that's cool. It's something about the character resonated with him enough, like I can do something interesting with her.
I never would have thought of her having her own series though, so I trust Marvel because
well, a lot of times I think what they do is they're like, okay, we're going to do a series, but depending on how well it's received, it could be a limited series, in other words, one season, or an ongoing series. Because I think, if I remember correctly, back when a lot of these shows dropped, they gave no real indication on if they were going to be an ongoing thing. Well, now, fast forward, and we're getting we got confirmed that we're getting a second season of What If.
No, we're getting at least a second and a third, they said.
Yeah. Continued seasons, I should say.
Right.
We're getting at least one more season of Loki, which I think is good as well, because those, the way they were received was very positive, very,
go ahead.
I'm just blown away that I can't wait for anything.
I know.
I commented on something on Instagram just a little bit ago. I'm emotionally compromised with what we saw for Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, everybody was. Cindy was all choked up watching it.
And I think part of it is the visual elements that we were seeing and the music that they chose, like that director and his team for editing, like the trailers, the music, they are good at evoking, you know, just solid emotions with a mixture of media.
Right.
One thing, like we're watching it, and Jess's theory is there's a sequence in the trailer that takes place during the blip, and it's where the Queen is talking about, I have lost my family. She goes, I'd be willing to bet that is actually a flashback during the blip, because I don't think they would kill off Shuri and have it be revealed in a trailer. And we were outside with the dog while she was futzing around, and I just looked at her and I said, what if it's not exactly that? She goes, what do you mean? I said, what if it's, I said, remember, we saw, now I knew who it was because I was paying attention to like the drops of information that was being released. What if, sadly, T'Challa has passed?
Right.
Heavily got that implication from the trailers.
Oh, yeah.
But what if Shuri isn't dead? What if she was kidnapped by Namor?
Sure.
Like, well, is that something the character's done? I said, well, I know for a fact his first appearance was basically him kidnapping Sue Storm for a wife. And she's like, weird way to get a date, but okay. She's like, she's like, maybe that would be interesting. And I love how it looks like what they're doing, what they did with Wakanda, they're doing with the Atlanteans with Namor, where it's, I don't know if it's specifically Aztec or Mayan, or it's that region, I forget the term for it, Mesoamerican mixture of culture for them, kind of like how they did with Wakanda being a mixture of the different African cultures and tribes and stuff. I love that.
Sure.
That's a beautiful way of bringing something familiar for people and bringing it into something different and unique. So yeah. I'm excited for it. But we're both trying to figure out that last split second where you see a Black Panther show up, and you just see the claws come out. Because I told Jess, I said, they were smart with the angle because it's difficult to tell if they're male or female.
Yep.
I said, I don't think it's M'Baku because I've seen that actor and that dude is built like a freight train. Though, who knows? It could be, I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. Because I know at some point in the comics, I don't know if she still is or not, but I know Shuri had, at least at one point, taken the mantle of Black Panther.
Right, right.
Because I think at the time, T'Challa was either off planet with Secret Wars or Lord knows what. Because
whatever I didn't read it yet.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
It's in my pile of digital comics. Because about a year ago, they had a sale.
Yeah.
Of volumes of anything that was Black Panther for like 99 cents volumes. So I'm like, snag, and I got everything, including that run.
Yeah.
So I read a couple issues of, it wasn't his original appearance, but it was very early on with Jack Kirby being the artist.
Okay.
And it's so funny to read old comics the way that they were written, especially the Marvel comics. Whew. You better like that character because it's a lot of like, it doesn't feel natural.
It doesn't feel like what they are now. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm reading it going,
how it evolved over time. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, you know, everybody loves Jack Kirby's art and I get the angles and that, but it's not.
It's not what you're accustomed to. Because
well, there's a fluidity to his fight scenes, which is what he's praised for, which is cool. But it's also very blocky and not necessarily in proportion. Yes. So when you go and you kind of got to know that and go, yeah, all right, enjoy it for what it is, as long as the style is consistent, you know.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I showed it to Cindy and she got all filled up. And she also got filled up because we're sitting on the couch. And when they first announced Daredevil Born Again, I looked at my phone, saw it, and went like this to show Mikey, who we wished we were filming it because he jumps to his feet. Oh my God. Shows it to Cindy, who gets filled up because we've been waiting for this for so long and it's official. She's like, wait, it has to be official. And she looks and she's like, there's a blue check mark by the name. It's official. So we all just rejoiced and we're glad.
Yeah.
And then after that, we got the news just started tumbling in, and that was that was the rest of our night.
Yeah, and the fact that they didn't just I appreciate the fact that they refined Phase 4 and actually kind of like, okay, Phase 4, this is the last project of Phase 4, and that's going to be Wakanda Forever.
Yep.
Because the pandemic, let's be honest, that really just put the brakes on a lot of things. So seeing that they're like, okay, look, we know we had these other, I think 3 or 4 films that were going to be part of Phase 4. Nope, they are now going to be the first 4 out of Phase 5.
But you know what?
And then we get more information about Phase 5, and we even got the first 3 projects from
Phase 6.
Dear Lord.
I know. And it's not over yet because
we know we're going to be getting more, yeah.
Within that, because we haven't heard anything about Spider-Man or the mutants.
Right.
So that's a coming. They're not going to wait.
I think they're gonna do what they often do, and they're gonna shift some things around probably from Phase 5, maybe nudge another project or 2 to Phase 6 out of Phase 5 to make room for something else. And I like that they said, look, Fantastic Four is happening. This is when it's expected.
Yeah.
Finally, because my biggest I don't want to say issue, but my biggest hang up was I didn't recall them ever actually stating when they announced Phase 4 that the Fantastic Four were actually going to be part of it. They just said it's coming.
Right.
They never actually specified when. And I think part of the thing that led to confusion was any kind of iconography that we saw for Phase 4 was that stylized Fantastic Four logo with the Marvel Phase 4 emblazed all around it or on it or whatever. So I'm like, okay, is this just fans reaching? Marvel kind of like dangling the carrot? Is it a mixture of things? What's going on? So now to actually see, yes, confirmation, a semi-set in stone release time frame. Okay, cool.
Well, and let's also remember this. I got to get used to the idea of just because it says that we're getting Fantastic Four as part of Phase 6, that doesn't mean we're not going to see them within a few months of now. It just means that's their own movie. But they're going to show up in other people's movies or TV shows.
Yeah, for crying out loud. We saw how many characters in other projects before we got to see them in their own standalone.
And that's so amazing.
And it's smart though, because it shows that interconnectivity.
It's so, and it pays off for us. And I'm not used to that. And it's, again, my complete faith is with Marvel because they have yet to disappoint me. I'm just like, nope, you guys know what you're doing. When I saw Namor in the Black Panther trailer, great, wonderful, love him. He looks fantastic.
Oh, absolutely.
But wouldn't you think he would have been Japanese or some sort of Asian? Because if you look at the design of Namor, he always had, I could have, as a matter of fact, for years they had shown, they had said, maybe this guy, maybe, you know how they do the dream casting?
The wishful casting.
And he's got the Asian set of eyes.
I can understand why people would think that. I could.
But again, once I saw him, and it's, I'm like, great.
I think
amazing.
And like I said, I think what helps is it's not just some dude with, booty shorts and wings on his feet. They're showing a more in-depth take on.
And talk about a smart way. I hated the way Namor always looked. He was a guy who was almost naked in his little scaly bathing suit.
In booty shorts.
Yeah, and wings on his ankles. In this case, you go, no, because in the last, 10 years or more, they gave him a cool vest and an outfit where, and you look more majestic. I'm like, you're supposed to be Marvel's equivalent of Aquaman. Let's dress like it. Yeah. And now they're diving into it with the movie outfit. I'm like, there you go.
I'm blown away with it. Like I'm a huge fan of history. I've always, that's part of the reasons why Daniel Jackson as a character always resonated with me, because of that archaeological desire to learn and everything. That and seeing that they're delving into, they're not doing the typical thing a lot of shows do, or a lot of things do, and it's focusing on one culture's backstory and stuff. Like, I like how with the Thor movies, we got the Norse mythology. Now with the latest one, they delved into glimpses of other mythology, specifically Greek mythology, because of everything with Zeus. And if you haven't watched it, stick around for the bonus scene about halfway through the flick. You won't be disappointed because it delves further.
Wait, which movie?
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh, okay, we're going there now. Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
With, Moon Knight, they went into the Egyptian mythology, which I loved. Although a small part of me would have loved to have seen them introduce an actor that you and I are familiar with from Stargate. The guy that was Daniel Jackson's father-in-law. Always plays.
Oh, sure.
I would have loved to have seen him in there just because the man's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they've got that. With Wakanda Forever, we're getting the Mesoamericans, so you're getting that like Aztec, Mayan, Incan, influence.
Very cool.
And I love it because they're showing that there is a lot more to the world than just superheroes that inevitably always end up somehow being from New York.
Yeah. Well, oh, wait a minute. Okay, you're still there. Good. The stupid thing popped up and said, you have 10 minutes. And I clicked on something and it took me away from our chat. And then I'll do the 5-minute upload and then we'll continue what we're saying. Yeah, but we have less than 10, but I'll give you the heads up. Anywho, okay, so you bring up Moon Knight. What did you think of Moon Knight?
Moon Knight, I was not familiar with the character whatsoever. And so I went into it blank slate, a little confused at first because I knew there was some kind of mental thing with the character where he had like maybe
split personalities,
personality ID or DID, I think is the term for it now, dissociative identity disorder.
Love God.
And it's like, okay, that's interesting. I'm digging the approach, but then gradually showing how they showed how these identities were created in him as a young child to help protect him, and then how they have different relationships with the god. That was really freaking cool, and
that was brilliant.
I did like how we saw by the end the third one actually having some screen time. I would have loved more because Oscar Isaac can just freaking chew the scenery as whomever, but that was really cool. I really enjoyed it. I like that they showed Lila becoming the avatar for one of the other gods, or the one goddess. That I thought was really cool. And that cute little moment where that little child asks her, "Are you a superhero?" as she like swooped in to save them. I thought that was a really cute thing that a little kid in the midst of all that chaos would probably have done, we watched it, loved it until the last episode, which just, it gets confusing and then ends. Yeah.
And we felt cheated. We're like, whoa, wait a minute.
I'm wondering if there's something in the wings that they're planning on doing that.
Well, they originally said it's a limited series. Well, now they've gone back and said, no, it's not. It's just season 1. We didn't expect people to care this much. And you clearly do, because again, the changes that were made, they had him married to, in the comics, she's, or at least the way he used to be, he was Marvel's Bruce Wayne. He was very rich. He had the Moonwing kind of ship, and he had a friend named Frenchie who flew the ship on the missions, and he was kind of like his Alfred. And then he had the blonde girlfriend. Well, in this, they didn't make her blonde, and they made her his wife, which, fine, whatever. We haven't gotten to see Frenchie yet. He also isn't rich. And I loved, like you said, the explanation for the multiple personalities. I'm like, oh. And also, in the comics originally, they didn't have him be as messed up. He was a stoic guy who did what had to be done and would call on those other identities when needed. Then when I can't think of who the Fitch was it? I'm trying to think of who the writer was. About 10, 15 years ago, they started a new Moon Knight title and they made him bat crap crazy.
Mhm.
And he was ultra violent. And so it seems like they kind of found a balance between those two.
Yeah.
But you can't make him too crazy because it's hard to root for a guy who's that unpredictable when you're like, all right, now he could go off and kill people for no reason.
Yeah. And a friend of ours is a huge Moon Knight fan. Like that is his character that he loves.
Sure.
And he absolutely was, pardon the semi pun here, but he was over the moon with Moon Knight because it was just wonderfully executed.
Yeah. I like I said, we loved it. It was his idea, by the way, to do the British accent when he was the one personality. And thank God, because if he used the same voice, it would have been that much harder to follow.
Oh, well, and apparently I found out through something or other online, initially he wanted to focus on doing Steven's stuff first so that he could get acclimated to him.
Sure.
And get acclimated to the other characters so that in mid-scene when he's shifting like that, it's natural and he just does it. Like there's no cut, there's no splicing footage together. That's him shifting, vocal carrying, whatever, shifting from one character into the other. So it's that jarring, that sudden, oh shit, okay, wait, what? And that's a testament to his wanting to make sure that he does it right.
And that's smart. I love that so much. I agree. I gained so much more respect for him as a person and an actor after seeing that.
I don't know a lot of people that do suffer from DID, but I've seen one or two people that I kind of follow on Facebook or social media, YouTube, whatever, saying that the way they showed him just changing from one to the other was fairly accurate as well, because it is that sudden, that slight moment of disassociation, and then boom, there's somebody else.
I just, like I said, the ending was so abrupt that we're like, whoa, wait a minute, what? That's it? And we were ticked because again, love. When these Marvel and Star Wars shows come on, it's appointment TV. It's what's today, Wednesday? All right, we're as soon as everybody's home, we're watching this.
Oh yeah, like Jess and I, like now that she's on her summer hours, or when she was on her summer hours, it's like, okay, come on, you're home.
Yep. First thing before breathing and eating, let's get watching these shows, which is a wonderful feeling to have again. And to have it end the way that it did, we're like, you need to give us more.
Yeah, like as soon as it ended, I looked at Jess and I'm like, we're not done here. I'm willing to bet we're going to get more somewhere, somehow. We're going to get more.
So Thor, Love and Thunder, since you brought it up, let's, I don't want to slip away from that out of our giant list. Little connection to, I don't know if you caught it, but they mention a Moon Knight character in it.
Which character was it?
It was one of the Egyptian gods. It was,
I figured it was because they rattled off so doggone much in that one sequence.
Right? What'd you think?
I enjoyed it. Thor, I can leave or take at this point because I don't know. I enjoy the character, but why does he need more movies than any other individual character? You know what I mean?
Sure.
I do love that they gave us the Mighty Thor storyline, a very condensed version of it.
Yeah, how about that? Oh, by the way, everybody, I don't know if you've caught on. We just talk freely here, so there will be spoilers.
Oh yeah.
So don't.
This is your slightly delayed spoiler warning alert.
Yeah, just come on. We're not going to hide anything. We're having a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Also, we did our part and watched the freaking shows and movies, so
yeah,
catch up. Yeah, you know what though? I'll tell you this. Here's my view on the whole Thor thing. When we last saw Thor, he went off with the Guardians of the Galaxy. and he was overweight Thor.
Mm-hmm.
So there had to be at least one more story there to fix that.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
I know through the montage thing that they showed, they cursorily explained away things, but I don't know. I feel like that was set up to have more of an impact on things, and then with the way they were just kind of like there but not necessarily there, like they were the Guardians of the Galaxy, but they didn't necessarily feel like the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, they were the background characters, just so you know that we didn't forget that how we left things, but this is not a Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Yeah.
This is Thor and how he fit in, and I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I still enjoyed the movie, but it's just one of those like, okay, I know the actor loves the character, and will gladly play the character till they're old and gray. Taika does a good job at kind of like revitalizing characters that could feel just boring.
Sure.
Because that is something they could easily have done with Thor. Continued the
thou art feeling sad. Yeah. They made him fun and whimsical.
And that was nice. And I like how they, like the whole thing towards the end where he gave up some of his power. That's something Thor from that first movie would never have even considered doing.
Right.
So, I mean, I do like how they showed even how many appearances later, he's still showing moments of actual fairly good character growth.
Definitely. Yeah. That's the great thing too. It didn't feel stagnant and like, another one of these. It felt like, no, we're getting to see more of him grow as a human being, as a person.
Yeah, grow as a character.
You know what I was afraid of? And thank God they didn't do this. I was afraid because he had his 3 movies and the other 2 haven't been around, Iron Man and Captain America. I'm like, oh, they're going to phase him out now and we're going to have girl Thor. And it's a great story, as you said, compact into a 2-hour movie. But I didn't want her to replace Thor.
Oh, yeah.
And I was afraid at the end it was going to be, all right, well, I'm either going to die or carry on as Thor.
Yeah.
I'm going to go plant a garden.
Yeah. And I like how through her choice and dialogue, she said, she even told Gore the God Killer or the God Butcherer, she's not Thor. She's the mighty Thor. And I like how they did that to help distinguish between Thor and her version of that mantle, because that's what they did in the comics.
Right.
He wasn't a replacement for Thor. And I like that they didn't fall into that pitfall, because I'd be willing to bet Marvel of a different version probably would have fallen into that trap.
Right.
But with Kevin Feige, and the team that he's got working with him, they've built themselves into a situation where they're paying respect to the origins of the comics, but they're also trying to do their own thing, because in the comics, her arc lasted, I want to say probably 1.5 years, 2 years.
Is she still around as Thor?
Spoiler alert for the comics, apparently she's not the mighty Thor in the comics anymore. She is a Valkyrie.
Okay.
Which fine. I like how they touched on in that post-credit scene, because that, again, that's something relevant to that character. So we may end up seeing her return as another Valkyrie, which I think would be really cool.
Well, I bought the books with her in it. I just haven't read them yet. Again,
yeah, I like how they handled, at least in the first couple issues that I'd read, in the first couple issues, we as the reader didn't know who the mighty Thor was. It was just some female running around as Thor, thou this, thou that, and then I think it was either at the end of an issue or at the beginning of an issue, we saw Jane Foster there hooked up to an IV and everything, and the nurse is like, I don't understand, it's like the meds aren't doing anything. And they touch on that in the movie. It's because literally, switching into utilizing Mjolnir and everything, it wipes out everything in her system, except for the cancer.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow, that was a nice, you know, way of bringing that relevant portion of the character forward.
And it's a great twist too.
Yeah.
Because you could be the hero, but it's going to kill you.
Yeah. And it shows that was her hero's journey, you know, being the scientist, being the, you know, Jane to his Thor. You know?
And thank God for that extra bonus scene at the end, because I was like, we haven't seen Hercules, and this is his fourth movie.
Yeah.
And they haven't even mentioned him at all. There he is. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it was funny. Like it was me, Jess, our friend Ashley, and my niece Madison in the theater watching this, because we always try to take my niece to Marvel films if they fall around a certain time where she's available. And so we went and we saw it. And we're like, unfortunately, that scene had been spoiled because some Yahoo on YouTube. And it was one of those, it was one of those that just the still is what I saw, and it was spoiled. It wasn't one of those like a comic book scene.
Right. If you read further, you're going to be spoiled.
Yeah,
it was
there was no heads up. It was just boom, and in the title, I'm like, you a-hole. So I blocked.
They really are. They really are.
Like a lot of people on TikTok, they'll be like, hey, look, if you haven't seen this X movie, 5, spoiler warnings in 5, 4, they give you the countdown, they give you the time to scroll through. But yeah, so that kind of got spoiled for me. But so we're sitting there in the theater, and I'm just like, yeah, it would have been nice had I not had this spoiled for me, thinking this, not saying anything. And then when the camera shifts to Hercules standing there or rising or whatever, my niece, my wife, and one of her best friends all kind of like lean forward and go, oh shit, it's Roy Kent. And I'm like, yep, that's why the actor looks familiar.
Who is it?
The actor plays a character on Ted Lasso called Roy Kent.
Okay, I started watching that, by the way.
Yeah, it's a good series.
I'm halfway through the first season, and I see why there's such appeal for it.
Yeah,
he's a very lovable character.
Yeah, and Roy Kent apparently is.
Now, which one is he? There's two lead soccer guys. There's the arrogant, miserable one, and then there's the arrogant one.
This is the guy, short, dark hair, like some facial hair. Roy Kent is actually the character's name.
All right, I got to look because I didn't pick up on that when I saw that scene. Of course, I was too busy looking and going, he doesn't really look like Hercules, because Hercules is a much thicker.
Yeah.
And
that very well could just be, explained away as a camera angle or whatever.
Oh, that guy. Okay, that's who he's going to be. Yeah, that's the miserable guy.
Yeah. His character goes through some growth.
Oh, yeah.
From what Jess has told me.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed the series. I've enjoyed the little bits here and there that I've caught. It's going to be on my to watch list once I'm through other things that I'm catching up on.
Okay, let's sidebar with that, because there's a bunch of things I couldn't wait to tell you.
Okay.
While I'm working from home, long story short, but they took away a lot of my accounts to give to Columbia, and I'm kind of going through the same list and bugging people to like give me more. I used to have thousands of accounts to work on. Now I have less. Well, when it's easy like that, I could put something on in the background, whether it be a podcast or Netflix. So I've been catching up on my Netflix stuff.
All right.
But also, I couldn't wait to tell you, I want to say halfway through or more than halfway through the first season of Star Trek Discovery.
Okay. How are you enjoying it?
I'm still going through it, so I'm enjoying it. Because again, I originally saw the first episode and went, yeah, all right. But no, you were right. It's that second episode where things matter.
Yep.
And then from there on, like, wait a minute, she went to prison and holy crap, and now she's back on there, and you don't know if you could trust her, and blah.
Well, I will say, having the chance to speak with that actress, I told her, I said, I wasn't 100% certain about your character because of the way they started your character's backstory by like the third episode of the series. I said, but I am over the moon at your character's growth. I love what they're doing with your character. And this was right before season 4 started.
Okay.
And I told her,
yeah, she said, "Buckle up, something's coming," didn't she?
yeah. And she goes, "Oh, just you wait," and I was blown away with this latest season. So I mean, getting the chance to talk to the lead of a show who is that excited was phenomenal. And like even with Anson Mount, when I got the chance to chat with him, he's another one. He loves the fandom. He loves the community. And he's not above saying, "Hey, look, you're being a little a-hole for, treating this person like garbage because you don't like the character or whatever."
Right.
But it was just, that's one of those shows that, and this is something that kind of frustrates me. It's like, everyone's like, "Oh, when did Star Trek become, political this, political that, woke that?" It's like, it's always been a very progressive view of an idealistic future.
Right.
Yeah, we have our stumbling blocks. We have our moments where, we do things that might be counter to what we're looking for. But ultimately, Star Trek has one key thing above everything, and don't hang up on me because I'm going to say this, has something even Stargate doesn't always have.
Yeah.
Hope.
Well, especially
Stargate has it,
especially those last 2 seasons. But don't make me go down that road.
Has it, just not always in that forefront.
And that's what Star Trek is supposed to be. Star Trek is supposed to be the hopeful future.
Yeah, it's like, here's some horrible stuff that's going on, but everybody perseveres and keeps going because they know there's hope.
And as you know, I watched the first episode of New Worlds or whatever the heck the answer was. Strange New Worlds. Loved it, but they reference, as you said, something that happens in the first season, right? Is it the first season?
Well, it's the first. There's a little nod to the first season, but Pike is on the second season of Discovery.
So I gotta wait at least 2 seasons in of Discovery to start watching Strange New Worlds.
Unfortunately, they're not super long seasons, so you should get through them relatively quick.
And then I also watched a couple episodes of season 2 of Picard, which I love.
Yep.
And it's of course time travel and alternate realities, and I'll delve into that, but I want to get through at least 1 season of Discovery because I couldn't wait to tell you, because you said
Jason, I love Jason Isaacs in that first season, and I have my feelings about things that happen in that season.
We'll talk about it when I get there.
When you get caught up, we'll talk, because
and loving all the Star Wars shows. Kenobi was amazing.
Yeah, I like how they kind of explained his line, because up until that moment where he's actually face to face with Vader, and Anakin Vader is absolving Obi-Wan, like, "No, you didn't do this to me. I love the visual elements where you're seeing the blue starting to fade, and you're starting to see like the flame of Anakin start to just become ambers, and it's all of a sudden red, and that's him embodying Vader, and just like the cracked mask and everything, like,
and the wound in the head. What about that? How's that for Mikey noticed? He goes, "Oh, that's how he got that wound in his head from Jedi." I'm like, "Good boy, look at you."
And I loved like they showed between all the times Vader has been shown visually losing part of his helmet, it was his Padawan.
Yep, I saw that too.
Master, and ultimately the person that was able to remove it for good was a child.
Yep.
And it's like, oh my God, so good. But like, they showed and they set the precedent that yes, Jedi, when they go into hiding, would limit their use to the Force, almost cutting themselves off because they didn't want to be that, "Hey, I'm over here."
Right. I could sense somebody. Well, you don't want that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but it was really good. And the actress that played Riva, I like how they showed her mirroring and almost going down the very same path. And
I was surprised at how much I liked. At first, I'm like, "Oh, I hate her. I hate what you're supposed to." But then I'm like, oh, they actually gave her a nice little arc, and we'll see her again because like they're gonna do more Kenobi.
Yeah,
Yeah, they said we weren't planning on it, but people really love this, so we're gonna do more.
Yeah, and I mean they can keep them the short seasons if they want to.
Yeah,
as long as they're just like that, you know.
Intense.
But it was so well done, and the little girl playing Leia
was very good.
You could almost see Carrie being like, "Do this."
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. When you watch, you go, "Yeah, Leia was always an a-hole." I mean, she might have been fighting for the good fight, but she was a brat.
But yeah,
you know?
but you need that with that character.
Absolutely. And the little girl, you're like, yeah, you ran off and you shouldn't have ran off. And then you kind of get humbled, which is very wise that they did that. I love the little Easter eggs. Like Ben was the one who gave him the ship to play with.
Yep.
Which, yeah, and like I point out to Mikey, I'm like, look at you see that? Yeah, that's in New Hope.
Yep.
I love that. It was so good, and I want more. And just, you know, one thing I want to tell you about Star Trek. One of the things I'm enjoying with these new series, and what always eluded me from enjoying it in the original series.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing I'll say with Doctor Who. The mistake that they make is instead of focusing on the cast, the main people, which you could obviously they're the stars of the show.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're going to run out of material. They'll go, yeah, they're there, but let's talk about these strangers who are only in this episode, and they focus too much. Well, for Star Trek, it would be aliens. Like it's right now, even in Discovery, it's a lot of, you know, Uka Chaka Uka Klingon. And I'm like, I know they have to have some sort of dialogue, but I hope they don't do what they used to do in New Generation and everything, where the main focus, same thing with Doctor Who, is these strangers that I don't care about. And then eventually, here come the heroes to do their thing, but you're still too much focusing on that. With these new Star Trek shows, they're not doing that, and I'm thrilled because the crew itself is fantastic.
It's one thing to, you know, have a couple scenes here or there to give a little bit of context to what's going on, but having it be the focus, it kind of draws the focus too much.
And I again, through the years, when I try and watch Next Generation or even the original, I'm just like, I don't care about these guys.
Part of it also, I think, is the storytelling pacing as well. That I think is an impact, part of the impact as well too.
So the writing's better, I'll say.
Like having the occasional episode where you're seeing background characters being the focus, while
that's special.
Main cast, that's different.
That's
different. Every show at least has one episode.
The other guys were the Stargate ones.
Other guys, ironically, Lower Decks was the name of, I think, a TNG episode where it was a bunch of ensigns doing things behind the scenes normally, but when, you know, the episode was focused on those ensigns, while in the background you're seeing this the cataclysm or whatever, you know, whatever the big issue, you know, the bridge crew were dealing with. And that's what ended up inspiring the Lower Decks TV show,
which is cool.
I thought was freaking great, which I got Jess to watch the first episode last night, and she's like, okay, yeah, I can see this is a fun quick show.
I watched the first episode of that too. I'm not opposed to it. I'll watch it at some point. Okay, so let's see what else is on the magical
back to the list. Back to Mikey's list.
So we got obviously Spider-Man No Way Home. We were talking about Daredevil. Perfect movie. Perfect freaking movie from beginning to end. And again, first of all, within the first 7 minutes, we get to see Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
And he catches the brick.
Yep.
And
I like how they showed Peter reached for it too.
Yeah.
That was cool.
And then they pause and look at him, and he's like, I'm a really good lawyer.
Yeah.
You know, I love it. I love it because you had to do something. Otherwise, the people who never saw Daredevil will be like, why do people care that this blind lawyer showed up?
Yeah.
Oh, he's something
There's
special.
more to this guy. Okay.
And as a matter of fact, because of that, Daredevil on Disney Plus and Defenders blew up. Because everybody, wait, I missed this, and now they're like, okay, this is, which again is why we're getting a new Defenders too. Because Netflix was the reason they're like, we're not doing 13 episodes, we're only going to give you 8. Well, boy, that bit them in the rear end, didn't it? And so now, and of course, I was afraid of certain things. Like I thought they were going to kill what's his face as Spider-Man, because he got stabbed. Norman Osborn stabbed him.
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire's, yeah. I'm like, no, this was perfect. Everybody, the whole family went, no, don't give us that. It's don't. Oh, he's fine. Okay, good. Thank God. He's like, yeah, I get stabbed a lot.
Yeah, and I love that line. I love when they were kind of like preparing before everybody converged on the Statue of Liberty. I like how he's doing like his back stretches and whatnot. Nice callback.
Great callback. And I love that they love each other like brothers. Yeah. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently
they very easily could have fallen down the trappings of, resentment or whatever. And just that was wonderfully done.
So yeah, perfect movie. I wow. Yeah, and apparently those two guys are going to be back in other Marvel movies and shows.
It'll be interesting to watch.
I'm like, all right, cool. That's fine with me.
Well, and then they opened up the multiverse.
And which will be the focus for 2 more phases. Dynamite. Let's have fun. And that's the thing about this phase 4. Everybody's like, well, nothing epic is really happening. It's not Endgame level. I don't want it to be Endgame level. Endgame was exhausting.
It realistically can't be on the same caliber because it's the beginning of a new phase,
the aftermath,
saga,
I agree.
And like I got into a conversation with some friends on Facebook about this earlier today. Phase 4 was very much kind of like the subplot,
the recovery
of loss, recovery, grief, and perseverance.
Yeah. And that's fine. Give me back to the normal phase 1 level of this.
Yeah. And I think having, that be the follow-up after something as monumentous as Endgame is key, because it's that, okay, we have the time to breathe. We can grieve with the characters,
Yep.
I'm curious to see where they're going to end up going with, these other movies coming out. Secret Wars. I know there's been a couple different Secret Wars in the comics.
Right. So I don't think it's going to be
like which one they key in on.
Yeah, they I've learned also with these titles. Let me see. I have to cross off our list since we're going about. We're first going to have the Kang Dynasty.
Yep.
And then Avengers Secret Wars. Now, Secret Wars, I think they're probably just using the title, because I think it's going to have to do with Secret Invasion, which is
so it's like, are they going to go with the Secret Invasion? Are they going to do the Battle World thing that I think was one of the Secret Wars? Or is it going to be just kind of like something adjacent to one of those? Which there
was also a Bendis Secret Wars that set up his Avengers too, where Nick Fury, and it's not as known as it should be, but it's just as fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Fury comes to Spider-Man, Wolverine, Daredevil. I feel like there was somebody else, Cap, and goes, listen, guys, I need you to go undercover in the secret mission. And they wear like darker variations of their uniforms.
Okay.
And it's phenomenal. And it's getting a whole bunch of my favorite characters together. And that kind of set off his Avengers run. And if you didn't read it, I'm telling you, it was so good. And it was one of those that if you didn't read it, you could still jump into the Avengers run the way that they do it. But he does callbacks to it. And basically they go back and they're like, Fury, you're an a-hole. You didn't tell us about this, that, and the other. And, that type of thing. So there's another Secret War type thing that. So they could title it whatever they want. I trust them. It's all gonna. I think it'll be that Secret Invasion payoff.
It gets people interested in the comics, which is good, because without the comics, we wouldn't have the MCU that we have.
Right. Okay, so we mentioned those. Oh, and in Ant-Man 3, speaking of Kang is going to be in it.
Mm-hmm.
MODOK is going to be in it, which I hate MODOK, but I'm sure they'll make him cool.
Yeah, MODOK has always been kind of like a weird character.
It's one of those, we're just throwing him in because we can't, like when they created MODOK, it was, we need a weird looking villain, and MODOK is just a big head because he's so smart. Like, no,
Yeah.
but I trust them. They'll
Well, I
use
know
it.
with like in the video game Marvel's Avengers, MODOK was the main villain of the game, and how they showed his evolution from a human being to MODOK, the floating head thing, that made sense. It was because of something with Terrigen and some other crazy shit that was going on, and he ended up, you know, because of his high intelligence and everything, his body actually started to wither. And it's like, okay, that at least makes a little bit of sense.
Sure.
Okay, I can buy that, you know. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do to bring them in.
And Bill Murray. I don't know what Bill Murray has to do with Ant-Man 3, but okay. He's actually in it.
Interesting.
I know.
It'll be interesting to
Whatever.
see.
That's fine.
Yeah. It's like, all right.
Let's see. Moving on. Hawkeye. Loved Hawkeye.
I've really enjoyed Hawkeye.
I love that it was Christmas. It really put us in the mood for not only Christmas, but Christmas in New York.
Yeah.
And a lot of places where they filmed, like walking through Times Square, I'm like, oh, we were right there.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly where they are.
Yeah, I love the seeing. I have a funny feeling we basically saw how Hawkeye and Black Widow became friends through the eyes of Yelena and Kate. And I love that because, you know, that's very much, they could just be fighting each other in like that animosity or whatever, but it's that mutual, like, wait, did you just maybe, you know, when she.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Like, you're fun.
Yeah.
Okay, Kate Bishop. Stop calling me by my whole name.
Yeah, that's weird, you know, and I really enjoyed that. That was fun. And I like that we got to see that moment between Clint and Yelena. Where
yes, yeah.
My biggest concern was they were just gonna get rid of him. And I like how they said, no, you were important to her because I know, you know, and that was just chef's kiss.
Hey, and he didn't fight her either. Like, he couldn't have fought her in one, but he's like, stop hitting me. I'm trying to talk to you. Smack, smack, smack. Stop hitting me. I'm still trying to talk to you. Which
goes to show how much he recovered from having to be in that dark place for 5 years.
You know what, too?
I like how he was trying to not necessarily absolve himself of what he did, but he was trying to at least make amends, try to at least undo some of the hurt he caused.
And I also love the fact that they didn't wait to give us her. At the end of Black Widow movie, they introduce her, and I'm like, oh, I wonder when we're gonna get to see her. It's nice, but right away.
Yeah. It's like,
in
shit,
Hawkeye?
okay, she's gonna be this.
Okay. Yeah. And Cindy said it best. She's like, I never cared for Jeremy Renner until this show. I'm like, yeah, he's there. I'm like, well, I always liked the character Hawkeye, but he's always been underutilized, and now he's getting his own show. And she saw it, went, no, now I like him. I get it.
He was given the chance to actually do more with the character. I think that's what helped.
And they put him in the great outfits.
Absolutely. Now, I loved the watch.
Yeah.
Because the entire time I'm like, he didn't deal with a watch. What the heck's the? And then be careful, be careful with your stuff. And then they flip it over. I'm like, what? Yeah. It's like,
well, see, not everybody got that. I got that. You got that.
I got that it meant that she was a SHIELD agent. It took me a moment to remember the significance of the number because I couldn't remember everyone's number, but I'm like, son of a bitch. Okay, that's cool. Which I love that actress anyway.
Yeah, she's not Mockingbird.
No.
Which is good because I would never buy her as that, and plus she's already been in SHIELD and blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
But she was Agent whatever, which that number goes to the next agent when you retire. Yep. Great. It explains so much of her being an agent. I'm like, that's why they know each other and that's why they're together. And okay, thank you for that.
And that's why, Fury feels so comfortable showing up on their farm, Yeah. But yeah, it was just very well done, very well executed.
And holy crap, you're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. I never liked that song until the end credits of the episode where they revealed that it's Kingpin. The big bad is Kingpin, which I don't know if you knew, but there are choices that they made which I wish they had kept, because they could have given us more, made an episode longer, maybe given us another episode where they filmed it, because before they yanked it, I was looking at every bonus scene. There's a subplot that not only shows Clint as a little boy learning how to steal and cheat from his mother at a carnival, and their struggle, they're sleeping in their car. It gives you his origin, which I'm like, we needed that. But there's also more, because he was supposed to originally show up in episode 2.
Okay.
And they mistakenly waited until the end. So you go, oh, and it's over. And you're like, no, I want more.
It's that hook to get you to come back next week.
Yeah. If they had done it sooner, they show footage of Echo as a little girl and him sitting with her and going, your dad's kind of tied up, but I get to take you for ice cream. You get new shades of Wilson taking her, like being an uncle to her, and he's called Uncle Wilson. Holy crap. So I love what they gave us. I'm not complaining, but when you know what could have been or should have been, man, you could have thrown in those. It wouldn't have,
there's every possibility they may still do that
in the future.
Some of that.
Sure. Because to show his origin makes him even that much more sympathetic.
Absolutely.
And of course, any shot with Kingpin, and I love that they not bulked him up, but they made his strength more prevalent.
Yeah.
Like he gets an arrow in the chest, which you could say it didn't go through because of that mesh that he wears.
Yeah.
And also, he like pulls that out, keeps fighting, gets hit by a car, gets up, still fighting. Like, and by the way, not just because he's big, he's a fighter.
Yeah.
So he's bouncing these guys. They're not going to be able to touch him. I'm like, good.
Yeah.
I like that the heroes weren't going to physically win.
Yeah.
That was, and you heard this, I'm sure.
Probably.
They said where Kingpin is at the moment is he was affected by the blip.
Okay.
Meaning he either disappeared in the blip, which I believe is true.
Yeah.
Or everybody that worked for him more or less went away. So now we saw him rebuilding his empire, which is why he's in the back of the store as opposed to in a giant building that he owns. And, did you also notice? Did you notice the building that they were in episode 1 was the same building from season 3 where he was housed?
I'm fairly certain I recognize that. Yeah.
Did you get that?
I'm fairly certain I did at the time. Yeah.
Because we're like, that can't be an accident. They're not just reusing old buildings. This means something.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's entirely possible. I mean, I like how through Hawkeye, definitely with when they were touching on Yelena, they showed her doing what she was set out to do after the whole thing with the Black Widow movie. She's talking with that one lady. She disappears into the bathroom. We see her blip away.
That was brilliant. That was so good to get that angle. Holy crap. That was like the Scarlet Witch WandaVision reveal.
Yep.
You're like, oh, you were in a hospital room. Now you're still there. Where is everybody? Yeah. And by the way, they also said people fell from the sky. Like people died. If you were in an airplane during the blip, sorry, you blipped back and there's no airplane under you. That's horrifying.
That is absolutely terrifying. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. In freshman year, the animated Spider-Man.
Charlie Cox is going to be voicing his character in that.
But yes, which, holy crap, yay, right? Like, why would you not? But I don't care what they're saying. Mikey was flipping out Friday or Saturday because they're saying it's supposed to be from the MCU. It's supposed to be the years that we didn't see Peter Parker, or the months before Tony Stark shows up. It's supposed to be showing his adventures. It's not, because there's nothing connected to the MCU. That he's going to have Doc Ock, Norman Osborn, Daredevil, whose outfit looks like a combination. Did you see the picture?
Yeah, I saw the picture.
It's a combination of his actual mask and the first season outfit.
Yeah, I have a funny feeling they're saying it's part of the MCU, but they're probably going to have it be part of the MCU under the guise of this is main MCU universe adjacent, where it's one of the other multiverses.
Like you don't need to trick us into watching this. Don't tell us it's connected to what we know, because it's not. He's already fighting. He's already in a Spider-Man outfit, all of that. And Mikey was at first flipping out. I said, okay, they're not going to fool anybody. If you know that and I know that, doesn't matter what they say, but he still gets affected by social media. And I said, thank God you're not on social media, because this is the stuff you have to train yourself to turn off, because the world is full of morons and they all like to use Twitter.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I mean, I can't tell you how many times watching Obi-Wan we saw people posting things on Twitter, wherever, saying, oh my God, they're going to kill Luke off, or they're going to kill Leia off. It's like, did you even pay attention to the 6 films after that? Really? Are you that disconnected?
So, yeah.
Or are you just making things up to just, are you becoming a giant freaking robot, basically, Yeah.
So I have to calm him down, because this is all kind of new to him, dealing with the world's stupidity. I'm like, don't let it wash over you, because they're trying to make sure people tune into their Disney Plus show, but they've already revealed how it's not connected.
Yeah.
Let's see, down the list. Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness.
Yes, Multiverse of Madness was fun. I was glad to see. Well, we already put the spoiler thing out there, so
Yeah. Spoil away.
Glad to see finally, Mr. Fantastic,
right?
John Krasinski, amazing.
Everybody's choice.
Seeing Anson Mount come back as Black Bolt was very satisfying.
Right, and in a great outfit.
Yes, very accurate to.
They both had the accurate outfits. Yeah.
But I think the two things that had me kind of like over the moon was Captain Carter, because I love Haley Atwell. And
yeah.
That character getting some cinematic love. But Charles freaking Xavier in
the yellow chair. And
yes.
they used the
melody.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Absolutely enjoyed it.
I loved it.
It was heartbreaking to see their end, but with the story they were trying to show how far Wanda was willing to go, it made sense. And I'm glad that they did it in a way that these versions of the characters, and I'm sorry, I completely forgot about seeing Maria Rambeau back as a badass.
Sure.
Because granted, she wasn't around long, but she showed that she is a badass as that character. But yeah, unfortunately, characters had to be sacrificed to convey the story that they were trying to tell. And just like every other Marvel film, they have done a really solid job of, this is a comic book film, but there's also an underlying element to it. And this one definitely had that horror-esque element that works for that story. Beautifully done.
The whole zombie thing, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, that was wonderfully done. It kind of harkened back to Sam Raimi's original films with the Evil Dead movies and stuff.
Right. You could tell it was a Sam Raimi movie by
like the angles that he chose to use, stuff like that.
Which I wasn't looking to be Mr. Oh, I could tell it's his. If you look at but no, when you watch it, you go, no, I'm familiar enough with his style and his pacing and his rhythm. I'm like, wow, I'm kind of impressed that I picked up on that without trying.
But yeah, it was really good. I love that we got to see more of Wong as Sorcerer Supreme. That was fun.
I love these, like, because of a technicality.
Yeah.
Because of the blip, there was a technicality that had to fall to somebody, and he's unwilling to hand it over yet. And
yeah, it was good. It took me a moment to recognize the character that they introduced in that there towards there in the post-credit scene.
Oh yeah, because I was never a Doctor Strange. Yeah,
I'm not super familiar. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'm excited to see them play with that. The last stinger, that was just silly and goofy.
Sure.
But you need something silly and goofy every now and then.
Well, and that's the thing. This phase is the decompression. Phase 4. Let's just relax and enjoy a movie. Not everything has to be the world's going to explode kind of catastrophe where people have to be sacrificed.
It's showing how the characters are recovering to the changes that have been thrust upon the world. But it was a good film. I had to laugh when Justin and I went and saw that movie. We didn't have any issues at that time seeing it. Wait, no.
No, it was the first time because we talked about it. You had to go back and see it.
No, though that was No Way Home.
Oh,
that's the one we had to see twice. No, there was a movie that Justin had gone to see, and people showed up late, and we're like, "How rude!" It's like, lady, the film is literally in the midst of action and stuff. You're the one being rude.
Right.
But
idiots. That's why they post times.
No, that was Top Gun. That was the one that
didn't see that one yet.
It was good.
I have to watch the first one with Mikey first because he
it would actually be helpful because there's some callbacks other than the obvious.
Right. He could have gone with his friends to go see it. And he's like, no, thank you. I haven't seen the first one and I want to see it with my dad. I'm like, okay. But yeah, I loved it. I loved
absolutely.
I
love how they showed them changing as they were going through the different multiverses and everything.
That was cool. That was cool. And I love that, like you said, anything can happen because it's not our universe. So if they have to be sacrificed, fine.
Yeah. And I liked the, them actually showing America Chavez's power and how it opened up that star portal.
Sure.
That was nice. I'm not super familiar with the character.
Nobody is. She's too new. But yeah.
Yeah. Like one of my friends, when America Chavez had been introduced into the comics, she was really excited because it was a new character that fit with, her upbringing and things like that. It's like, okay, that's great, and getting the chance to talk to her with the film or after the film, she goes, I loved it. This was very well done with what we know of the character so far from the comics. It's like, that's good. I'm glad
also what Marvel's doing beautifully, whether it be the shows, and we'll get to that when we talk about Miss Marvel, is they're showing diversity with characters without the ham-fisted, too far cramming it down your throat. It's like, no, treat it as equal,
treat it as normal, and
show the charm of what these cultures are. And if you're not part of that culture, enjoy the charm of it. And I know I look at it, same thing with Shang-Chi. I'm like, no, they didn't cram that down your throat. Nope. And ever since then,
here are the characters, here's the environment there, here's their portion.
Love it. Makes me want to go to that section of New York to be amongst them. Like I just want to enjoy that culture, whatever it may be. And also with America Chavez, she's a new character. She's not a character that they said, look, because again, Marvel and DC, but Marvel in particular, were the first to go, we're going to swap out what you love and give you female and ethnic versions. No, create your own. And we love them just as much if they're well developed.
Yeah, like with some things, it makes sense. Like with Captain America, they've implied enough that it's a mantle. It's not strictly one character.
Right.
With Iron Man, they kind of have a little bit more trouble doing that because of how integrated Tony Stark is.
Right. Exactly.
Iron Man.
Exactly.
Now, I'm sure a creative writer and a creative what have you could come up with a way where Tony Stark is still involved, but he's like evolved or whatever into an imprint of his mind. So he's more of like an AI. So instead of Jarvis being who the person's talking to, it's Tony, you know. So I mean, that's something they could do maybe down the
Well,
line.
that's my point from what you had said before, talking about with the movies. The movies can learn from the mistakes of certain comic decisions.
Yeah.
And again, that whole comic gate from a few years ago was part of that, and both sides were wrong because they swung too hard against the other.
Yeah.
Where Marvel, I'm going to use Marvel as an example. Marvel made the mistake of going, we don't care about the characters that you want. We need our
tentacles.
No. We need to do the politically correct thing. So anybody that was white, we're getting rid of and swapping in. And the world went, no, give us new characters. Nobody had a problem about non-white characters. However, they're already established. Leave them alone and create new.
Or do it like they did with Sam Wilson taking up the mantle of Captain America.
But they also have fixed that too, because there's a new series where it's called Sentinel of Liberty or something, and it's both Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson sharing the title.
Yeah.
Same thing like Hawkeye. The Hawkeye, they go, which one of us is Hawkeye? Well, we can both use the name.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have to destroy one to build up the other.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like one can step down for a while the other one takes the lead for a bit, and then bounce back and forth, work together, whatever.
And like I'm saying, these movies have learned from those mistakes and are integrating well to not go, can you guys pay attention? We're doing something really politically correct. It's like, no, treat it normal.
Yeah.
And it does, and now it's not an issue, and it's not even a thing to even notice. You just go, yeah, the world is full of different cultures.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Like,
heroes pop up in all different cultures.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they have a situation where both Kate and Clint are both around, and someone says Hawkeye, they both could turn and be like Clint or Kate, and then sort of clarify it.
Which leads me in. Well, I don't want to switch topics yet. The thing I love too about Doctor Strange 2 was they didn't hide the fact Scarlet Witch became bad.
Yeah.
It's not a question of, it's not, from her point of view. No.
Yeah.
That paid off real quick too.
Yeah.
Where
I love how they're walking through that apple block orchard, and he says something, and then she
goes, crap. I was hoping you wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah. And I love that, and now with what they've done with Scarlet Witch, theoretically, if they wanted to, they could have her gone.
Sure.
But they also have the ability to, there towards the end, we were seeing her realize what was going on, realize she went too far.
And
if they wanted to show a redemption arc for her, they could now do it where it's not such a drastic turn.
I'm glad they didn't. I like the other thing I was going to say was, I like that they made her a bad guy. That was a bold move. Right? Yeah, because you have many years of history there.
Yeah, the character has a history in the comics of
making mistakes.
Yeah,
but she's wiping out people. Like, she's killing millions.
Yep.
And cold-heartedly, like, destroying like the alternate universe
of the Illuminati.
Yeah. So there really is no coming back from that. So I like that in the end, she doesn't come to an understanding and go, oh, I feel terrible. I need to go off. I need to go off into a village and quietly think over who I would. No, die. You need to be destroyed.
They ended it in a way that if they wanted to show, and they could easily do it where they bring in her from an alternate Earth.
Sure, that would be more acceptable than trying to.
It would make the movie
have her come back and go, I understand. I messed up. Let's move on. Can I be a hero again?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing though. With the way they ended it, that iteration of Scarlet Witch, I don't think would make sense for them to bring back. But they did establish that when you dream, you're not necessarily dreaming; you're experiencing.
Isn't that great? You're watching other versions of your.
They could bring in her from another Earth or another universe who was affected by the decisions she made, and that's how they bring the overall characters redemption through.
Elizabeth Olsen is going to do her own voice in the next 2 seasons of What If.
I love that some of the actors are willing to do that. Some of the actors are not willing to. That's fine. That's the beautiful thing about animation. The voice doesn't
matter.
always have to match. Like anytime I saw things like, oh, Marvel, the clickbait, Marvel recast so and so, and
I hate that so much.
I'm like, I look at it and I'm like, I'm going to call it before I even click on the link.
They're talking about the animated series
or something.
Or they'll show like an image from the movies and go, "You're not going to believe who just killed this character." And you go and you're like, "Oh, you're talking about the comics, but you're trying to get people to
Or
click
you're
it."
talking about a video game that's coming out in like months or whatever.
I'm like, you pigs.
So like a lot of times I don't share it, but on I think on the rare occasions I have, it's like, yeah, this is relevant to X or Y, or it's like people need to
stop being dirtbags.
Yeah, people need to chill out with the,
I don't like, it's just so deceitful.
Yeah.
Like you should have enough integrity to
Yeah,
go,
like, hey, this change is gonna, this person's been cast as the voice of, or you won't guess who they cast as the voice of this. That's fine.
Yeah,
that's like, okay, you're being upfront that it's a recast, but in this.
Right. Another thing that is on the list, speaking of what if, the Marvel Zombie show.
Yes.
Is going to be rated R because of the gore.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would almost have to be.
I love that.
Yeah. So that I think will be fun. I really enjoyed the variety of stories we got with What If. So seeing that they're going to be like, okay, that one episode resonated with people. Okay, now we can delve into that one. So it'll be fun to see what they do, not just with that, but with the other.
I love that they already said, no. We've already signed on for season 2 and 3 of What If.
Yeah.
Because again, that can go on forever. You could do stories from the movies. You could do stories from the comics, whatever you want.
Yeah. And because they've even further solidified it with Multiverse of Madness, there's countless universes out there.
Mikey noticed with the new X-Men 97 revival that they're doing, Magneto's going to be the leader, which
I think
makes you go, okay, so the arc is going to be, where's Professor X?
More than likely, yeah.
Which is what they did in the comics. They're actually copying the 80s outfit of Magneto with the big giant M.
Yeah.
He's like, was that show any good? And I said, no, but it was all you had. Like that and the Spider-Man cartoon that was part of the same universe.
Yeah, they're not.
They were hard to watch then, and they're almost impossible to watch now because they were so.
Yeah, it was. We want to tell stories from the comic books, but we want to have it geared towards kids.
But it was so. They did the mistake that I always use Spider-Man as the example of is I don't need to know every thought that's in your head all the time.
Yeah.
I'm swinging along. Is that a guy? He just went around the corner. I better change into Peter Parker and check. Stop it.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that a friend of mine commented saying, so how many times are we going to see Jean Grey pass out or get knocked unconscious in this new series? And I'm like, oh my God, I completely forgot about that.
Yep. But I told him, check it out. Watch them on the Fire Stick, because then you'll get the general idea.
Yeah, for me, it's a sense of nostalgia. Like I'd gone through and rewatched them once or twice since I'd watched them back when they came out.
Yeah.
You can't go in expecting them to be the same caliber of storytelling that we're used to today. At the time, were they a fairly half decent representation of some of the stories from the comic books?
Yeah. And again, you're thankful to have them because we didn't have anything like it before.
Yeah, because at the time we didn't really have any comic book hero movies. Realistically, the movie that I think we have to thank for superhero movies is actually Blade.
Well, that's the Marvel stuff. I thought you were going to say Superman, because obviously.
Well, yeah,
but yes, you're right.
Superheroes, I'd be willing to bet possibly even further back than Superman, maybe. But yeah, like Superman brought the DC comic book heroes into the world of the late 70s, 80s, which, gave us Batman
but took it in a serious way and made the special effects amazing. Like you look at him fly and lift off and land. That's as good as anything you're going to get with CGI ever.
Yeah.
And, you know, those were wires, but it was because he was so darn good at what he did
Yeah.
that you went, yeah, you remember, you'll believe a man could fly. But you're
Yeah.
right. With the Blade was the first time Marvel got it right.
Yep.
I remember that. And I remember seeing it in the theater going, I'm expecting mistakes. And I saw it and went, wow, this is amazing. Which, by the way, they announced the new Blade.
Yeah, which I'm glad we're getting that actually happening.
Is it a TV show or movie? I think it's a movie, right?
I think it's supposed to be a movie.
Okay.
And I believe Mahershala Ali is still attached to it to be Blade, which I'm happy for. That man is a phenomenal actor.
They mentioned the next Captain America will be called New World Order.
Yep, I'm intrigued by that because I'm not certain storyline what they're going to be doing. I have a funny feeling it's going to kind of play on the whole thing that they dealt with in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where it's the world as a whole acclimating to the drastic change of all these people coming back and kind of delving into that new normal type thing.
Yeah. As long as it's not preachy, again, you know, I trust Marvel, but yeah. Because we talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier, and even though it's a good speech in the end that he makes, Mikey always brings up the fact that, like, they're too sympathetic to, and again, this is hindsight. I loved it at the time. But, you know, terrorists, they all have their own agenda. They all feel that they're fighting the right fight, but they're still terrorists. They're still not going about it the right way.
Yeah.
And Sam Wilson's like, you have to understand their point of view and, you know, these poor people. To a point, I get, you know, it's like understanding why they make the mistakes that they make.
Exactly. And I think that was the key point they were trying to make with that. I don't think they were like, oh, we need to be completely, utterly sympathetic to you.
Right.
That's where you fall in the problems.
Right. And that's what he was pointing out. He's like, it skates pretty close to going, come on, let's understand the terrorists who are trying to kill us. No. Thunderbolts.
Yes.
We're already getting the groundwork for that. So I think the Thunderbolt movie will be a payoff to all the villains that we're seeing.
Yeah. All the threads that we're seeing dropped. Yeah. Cool, I should say.
And back to Miss Marvel. How did you like that?
Miss Marvel, I knew next to nothing about the character. And it was just, I looked at Jess at the end of the series and I said, you know, I feel great having finally seen a Marvel series, Marvel show, Marvel project that I don't feel emotionally victimized by the end of it, because it was fun. I loved how they didn't lean into any kind of like negative aspects of, you know, the character, or not the character, you know, the Muslim faith.
Sure.
Or, you know, and I loved that they actually kind of gave an idea of, you know, what happened during that time of I can't think of the term now because they said it like once or twice in the show, when people had to leave.
Apartheid,
that's the word. Thank you. I like how they touched on that, because still, you know, not a lot of people realize that that's a real thing that actually happened. You know, and I love how, you know, they drop little breadcrumbs like, oh yeah, you know, stars, that, you know, your grandmother, you know, is led by stars or whatever. And finally we get that reveal that it was the granddaughter having been sucked back into time to aid, you know, and it was just very well done. I like how with damage control, I really feel like they're starting to lay the groundworks of either damage control is going to be utilized to build things like the Sentinels, or there's going to be someone who breaks off and does that. And I told Jess, I said, I'm glad they're showing that it's not the entire group.
Me too.
Whole.
Me too.
Because they already did that once with S.H.I.E.L.D. and they, you know, so it's good that they're starting to show that not just necessarily organizations can be evil, but people within can have their own ulterior motives.
Yeah, agreed. And I love the family aspect of it. I love the community aspect of it.
I love the fact that they showed the community being very loving, very supportive of one another, and even being like, yeah, we know why you're here. You're here because you view us as this.
Right.
And it's like, it's good because that's actually something not necessarily you and I need to acknowledge, but that is something that does need to be acknowledged. You know, people do have their own misconceptions. But yeah, so I really enjoyed it. The the food truck guy, I think, was probably one of my favorite characters because it's just a guy trying to survive in the world, you know. It was just kind of cute to see him interacting with people periodically. Did you catch, now this is something that I had to catch on a second listen, when Bruno was talking to her towards the end of that
at the end episode, of I couldn't wait to bring this up.
Yeah, because Jessner, like when he's talking about, oh, well, it's a mutation, and then you hear that just subtle music of the X-Men theme, I'm like, that's freaking brilliant.
Here's how it worked out for us. We're watching it, we're loving it, they're wrapping it up, and he goes, you know, he's like it's some type of mutation. Mikey loses it. Like, he jumps forward, he goes, oh, because now you're laying the seeds of mutants. Like, you actually said mutants, and that's amazing. And, you know, freaking out like he should, and so excited. And then we're talking about it, and the credits are rolling, and I see X-Men 97 theme. And I went, whoa, whoa, whoa. Rewind it.
Yeah.
And it's the guys, listen.
Because it's that subtle that if there's any kind of noise, you wouldn't necessarily pick up on it.
And we were so shocked at the fact that they said mutant that we didn't hear it the first time and went back.
They did that on purpose.
Oh, and that's the second time they've used that jingle because of the you know,
series,
yeah. Like cool. It's in Doctor Strange and she's a mutant.
Yeah. Well, and they had kind of mentioned, you know, I think they refer to it as something genetic or whatever, because I think with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, they had made a mention after they were introduced, like the second or third time Scarlet Witch had showed up, that the reason she has the abilities she does is something with her genetics.
Right.
Kind of starting to creak open that door.
Yeah, but like, come on, say the word, say the word.
But because at the time they couldn't, because they didn't own Fox, they knew they couldn't just say mutant, you know. So I think that's brilliant on their part. And I know in the comics she's got her abilities because of exposure to
Terrigen mist. Yeah.
Yes, which unlocks a mutation in her body.
Right.
But it's because of the Terrigen instead of, you know.
I love the changes that they made, because originally she had stretchy powers.
Well,
if you do that, now when Mr. Fantastic shows up, who cares?
Yeah, but people can people can differentiate between the two. It's with the way they showed, they're using it instead of just being blatantly her skin stretching. Right. Because she said in Biggin, and you saw her encase herself in that energy, and then that I think was brilliant.
I thought it was very good.
They're still enabling her to have those powers with a little bit of a twist.
But again, they're smart to do that, because if they make her like Mr. Fantastic, when he shows up, you're like, who cares? He's another guy who gets stretches.
Yeah, it's a way of being respectful to the character's powers in the comics, but also tweaking it enough so that it's easier for people to easily differentiate.
And I love that the bangle unlocked it, but it doesn't. She doesn't have to wear it in order to have her mutant powers. That was great, and I love the fact that they showed her training. She doesn't all of a sudden know how to do this crap.
And she still gets up. You know, she still has accents every now and then.
Bruno was the kid who played Bruno was the actor from Walking Dead who we met at the con a couple of years ago, right when Endgame came out. The day Endgame came out, we were going to go see it on our way home from the convention.
Okay.
Well, he's there and he spoiled it. We're standing right next to him, talking to him, and he looks at his phone and goes, "Oh," and he's so ticked. We're like, "What happened?" He goes, "I just had something spoiled from Endgame," and he was so crushed. And now here he is in a Marvel TV show. I would love to reach out to him and go, "I was there when you had that happen, and I'm so happy that you got to like
be
make
involved.
amends. Yeah. And
That's cool.
I had read, for me, Miss Marvel, a couple months ago, I bought Everly a volume or two and have since bought all of them, I think, so far. But I read the first volume after she read it and said, no, it's good.
Okay.
And it shows her a lot of what was in that first volume they used in that first season. Her saving the snotty girl, you know, it wasn't at a convention. In the book, she's at a beach party.
Yeah.
And the girl falls into the water and she stretches and picks her hand out and whatever. But Bruno is an Indian fella in the book.
Huh.
Which refreshing, and this I think shows a lot of progression as far as the people in charge. They didn't feel, it's like the flip of turning a white guy into whatever.
Mhm.
They went, no, we like this kid, so he doesn't have to be Indian, and it doesn't matter enough to the character.
Yeah, and they,
You know,
And not being familiar with the character, they were still able to have him be, I don't want to necessarily say a sympathetic character, but
no, he's part of the culture.
yeah, he's trying to be part of their, their, to the point where the mother is always like, you need to eat here.
Yeah.
It's like that, and that's apparent from what I understand, seeing the reactions and stuff, that is a very motherly thing from that culture.
Yes,
It's like,
it is.
More, you here.
Well, it's the same thing. Like I always say, my mother's like an Italian Jew, because she's always, you got to eat here, eat this. Are you done? Now eat this. And I'm like, okay, well, you're a German Irish woman, but you take on those qualities, when it suits you.
Yeah, it's just, it was really good. And the cameo at the end of that series.
Oh, I was waiting. I was like, are they not gonna do that?
Like, yeah, and it's just like, and I love how, yes, her outfit has changed, but if you look at it, it's the same outfit. It's just color swapped, which they've shown the character can do. She's just got her sleeves pushed up, which the character does from time to time in the comics and everything. That was one of those, oh shit, it was just boom, done. It's like, what the,
That was nice.
Yeah, it was,
and it sets it up for the movie.
Yep. So it's now the question is, where did Kamala go, and what exactly is going to be the fallout of them switching places? Because they're almost going to have to address it.
Sure. Let's see. Next on the list. Well, let me see. I'm going to do a quick one, because then we got to take another break to do the
quick break.
I refuse. I looked into it to upgrade to Pro for Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
It's over $100.
Yeah, it's excessive,
and I'm not doing that. So they can. I'll take these breaks with you and everybody else, and who cares? I know how to edit.
Yeah.
Scream. We saw the latest Scream 5.
Okay.
Did you see it?
Yes, enjoyed it. I thought it was very interesting, the approach they took with the characters. Unfortunately, for the series to matter and for things to actually have impact, characters are going to have to actually die.
Sure. And which is why I'm kind of relieved that Sydney's not going to be in the next one.
Yeah, gives the character some time to step away.
I don't want her to die. I don't care about the other ones dying. It'll affect me. It's sad. But she's the ultimate, what do they call it? The end girl, or the
final girl. Yeah.
Final girl.
If she were to die, it would need to be in the final film.
And it would be over. Like, you'd be like, oh, so this ended in a sucky way. Sydney died? Yeah. No. As a matter of fact,
I mean,
we're
realistically, horror films can go on after their final girl
right.
dies. But yeah, I love having seen that movie. It made me meeting Skeet Ulrich made more sense.
Sure. That was great.
He was almost completely clean shaven. His hair had been cut short. And like at the time, I'm like, okay, that's kind of strange, but whatever. And then realized, oh shit, he had probably just finished filming on that. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Isn't that cool when you're that close to what you're watching?
That's kind of neat, But yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I liked that they didn't have the surviving girl be a relative of Sydney.
Yeah, me too.
And
Me too.
I like the little Easter eggs of, you know, showing the other family members of the characters living in the same, you know, town and environment and everything. So I thought that was a nice, you know, the nod to Jamie Kedney's character and his family. Tate, her ashes were on Dewey's mantle. You know, just little things like that I think helps, you know, be respectful to the original films while it's continuing to try to keep going.
One of the shows I'm watching on, I mean, the kills are always something. One of the shows, I think it's called Slasher. It's on Netflix. It's each season is its own arc.
Okay.
And it's very much like a Scream sort of, you don't know who done it, but while we're going through all these episodes, they're getting picked off.
Yeah.
The killing that happens in each episode is some of the most amazing, attention-getting gore that I've ever seen. And we live in a world where people love to do, what do they call it? Gore porn or whatever, where it's just a matter of
torture porn.
What is it? Torture? Yeah.
Torture porn, yeah.
This isn't that per se, because they don't take their time and slowly rip off an arm or whatever. But they have, like, the guy has an axe and he swings it, catches the guy in the neck, and he goes, and then he swings it the other way, and you see it go in, and you could see the wedges, and then he finally lops it up. I mean, it's amazing. It doesn't, believe it or not, as gruesome as it is, it doesn't feel gratuitous the way a lot of those torture porn kind of
Probably
things.
sounds like it more falls in the vein of, well, I mean, we mentioned him earlier, Sam Raimi's way of showing the horror, but also not making it. I mean, yeah, he might make it a little over the top, but it's not gratuitous.
The killer's definitely having fun the way that he's killing these people.
Yeah.
But
now,
you feel it
every season, or is that what?
That I don't know. I only watched the first season, and it's called Slasher, I believe.
Let's check it out.
It gets you hooked because you're like, all right, I want to know who did it. And the first season, it takes place in an apartment building, so you very quickly get to know all the characters. And then when they start falling, you go, okay, so that not them, not them. Who the heck is it? And then the twists at the end, you're like, okay, Scream people would be very proud of you. You done good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's scratching whatever itch that is. Watched a show called The Kaminsky Method with Michael Douglas.
Oh, okay. I think I saw that pop up on the suggested thread.
It's fantastic. I started to watch it because the way it comes off is it's two old guys just kind of getting through life, and it's the pacing I thought would be nice. Because as I'm working, I can't necessarily pay attention, but I can listen.
Yeah, you have it on for the audio portion.
Yeah, and I'll look down occasionally, but it's so good. It was 3 seasons, and I zipped right through them. It was so freaking good. I was sad. Oh, my buddy Paul Reiser's in it.
Oh, okay.
He shows up in a bald ponytailed outfit, and he's amazing. Obviously, he's a welcome addition. Okay, so according to the list, we've touched upon all the Marvel things at the moment. Shazam 2, you saw the trailer?
Saw the trailer. I like how they're doing more with not just the characters as a whole, but I like how they're touching on Shazam's feelings of, you know, is he really cut out for what he's doing? Because I mean, literally thrust into this world, this fight, so to speak. I love it. And
yeah, me too.
Zachary Levi's a phenomenal actor. So
a great person. I'll support him as long as he stays as wonderful as he seems.
Yeah.
And then of course Black Adam.
I didn't get to see anything of Black Adam. I know The Rock showed up in costume, which
Did he?
Yeah, that has me excited because he's excited for it.
You didn't see the trailer?
I didn't see a recent trailer, no.
Okay. Well, when you get a chance, check it out. You know, I don't know. I'm one of the wonderful things that came out of this weekend is they officially said they're done with Zack Snyder's version of that universe. Thank God.
Yeah. I mean, and unfortunately, a lot of people are still going to be clamoring for it and whatnot.
Whatever. Who cares?
Had he been able to do like the major overgoing arc that he wanted to do, cool. I mean, it sucks that he's not going to get that chance, but also the man has a bunch of other stuff on his plate. I think this will actually be more beneficial for him in the long run.
He also didn't understand or care about the characters. He had what he wanted to do. As a matter of fact, did you hear the latest?
Yes, that about 13 to 15% of the accounts pushing for bring back the Snyderverse were
bots.
Attached to bots. Yeah.
That's part of it. The other part was he was trying his darndest to get Jeff Johns and another producer's name off the film, because apparently people like Jeff Johns were going, whoa, 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 whoa. Batman doesn't kill. Superman isn't a moody, whiny baby. This isn't accurate. Jeff Johns apparently trying to be comic accurate and character accurate. And he's like, shut up. This is my film. You don't like it, you can take your name off it. And they're like, yeah, we're not taking our name off the book. Well, then I'm going to make it happen. Otherwise, I think he said something like, I will destroy you on social media. And that leaked recently.
Well, that sounds toxic as hell.
And that's why it came out. They're like, yeah, let's stop being sympathetic for Zack Snyder. He was after these people because it wasn't about the characters or the legacy. It was about him. And thank God they now the bad thing is everybody was expecting a Man of Steel 2 to be announced. Not that it has to be connected to anything, but everybody's like, give poor Henry Cavill his due. He got dealt a crappy hand. This Comic-Con is gonna show that he's getting the right. Oh, wait, he's not. Oh, and they just kind of.
Well, I think part of it is, fans have. And I'm going to use this as a broad term. Fans have this idea in their head of this should happen. This needs to happen.
Sure.
That's not the case. If it's going to happen, it'll happen. Nothing is guaranteed. Heck, realistically speaking, Marvel films aren't guaranteed, really, because if you think about it, 4 films from Phase 4 have been shifted to Phase 5. So, I mean, nothing is completely set in stone until it is in theaters.
Even people were complaining that, hey, Doctor Strange 2 is supposed to have cameos of Spider-Man and this guy and this version and blah, 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 blah. And apparently there were some, I don't know how true this is, some things were actually filmed that they didn't use, which kind of sounds bizarre that they would bother.
Well, a lot of times with films not using footage that was filmed, it comes down to pacing or getting it to look the way getting it to look right.
But people were already, well, we're going to get this character and da 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 da, and then when it doesn't happen, they poo-poo the whole film.
Yeah,
and people were doing that with Doctor Strange. I'm like, stop it.
Yeah,
stop.
All these cameos that people said were going to happen. I'm like, there is no source for these cameos allegedly happening outside of sites like We've Got This Covered and Giant Freaking Robot, and those two are. Oh, and there's a third website that are known for just pushing rumor and fan nonsense.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Giant Freaking Robot started a whole hubbub Stargate world-wise.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, they're doing the new movies. They're not doing the TV show. And people went, bull crap.
Yeah. Like that Gate World.
Yeah.
I'll go to them for anything Stargate related, or I'll be like, hey, Mac, have you heard anything lately? Because it's been a couple months or whatever.
Exactly. Well, and also
even Reddit, I go onto Reddit and poke around on there, and Joseph, I can't think of his last name because I don't want to butcher it, but Joseph, one of the showrunners from SG1 in Atlantis, He's been active on the Stargate Reddit.
Malozzi.
That's it. Same was Olala, but that didn't sound right in my head. But yeah, he's been active on there and talking and sharing things from Brad and all them. And it's like something's in the works. It's coming. It's gonna take time.
Right. And that's the thing. They were such scumbags to start that rumor and ignite a fury that then the next day they're like, they actually did this. They actually did this. Hey, everybody, because of our posts, Twitter's blowing up because people are angry and they want to. And I'm like, don't be proud that you created crap for people. Yeah. This franchise is near and dear to our heart, and we've all been fighting for it. You don't come on and go, there's still going to be a movie happening. No, they're not, because even the people that own the rights to the movie said, we know when we're beat, nobody wants us to do it. It's over to the TV show. God bless you. Go ahead. But I thought, you a-holes, to be proud. It's a very Trump thing to do. Look at the trouble I started.
It's a egotistical, narcissistic douchebag thing to do.
Thank you.
If I knew I could get away with it, I would not be sitting here because of the repercussions of my actions.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
That's douchebag behavior, and that should not be celebrated.
Exactly.
Like Giant Freaking Robot at one time was fairly good with their information. I don't know what the heck happened.
You get a new guy in charge who goes, hey, I only care about results. I don't care about truth and honesty. Yeah. I need the clicks, people. We need people to pay for the advertising. Get them to click on it whatever way you can.
Yeah, well, it's like
where's your journalistic integrity?
Yeah, it's like anytime I see something from them, we got this covered, and like I said, there's a third one. It's like Inside the Magic or something like that. It's something that's very like, anytime you see misinformation being spread about Disney related stuff, it's through that particular site.
Sure.
So it's like garbage human beings that do shit like that.
So okay, so we talked about Shazam 2. I'm excited for Black Adam.
Yeah, I'll have to check.
Let me know, because they do have cameos in there. Mikey, the Doctor Who stuff. How about we're getting David Tennant back?
Well, we're getting David Tennant, but I'm not entirely convinced he's our version of 10.
Well, the way that
everything about him looks slightly off just a little bit.
Well, here's why. And I've been keeping up on this.
Okay.
Apparently, he's the next regeneration after Jodie. And he's wearing a different outfit because his other outfit isn't around. Like, I don't know if it got destroyed or left.
Yeah, I haven't heard that he's going to be the next Doctor after Jodie, because I know they've cast the next Doctor.
Right, which is the next one.
Yeah.
And now I'm hoping with this 3 movie arc, whatever they want to call it,
specials, basically, yeah.
It's going to allow him to go back and not make amends, but tie up loose ends. Like maybe he'll go back and save River. Because it would make sense since River, he was the one who had to trap her in there to save her life.
Possibly. We'll see.
Yeah, things like that. We get to see Wilfred. Because they've been showing those behind the scenes.
It'll be nice to see him again. I really enjoyed his character. He very much had kind of become like what Donna was, where Donna wasn't there for trying to get with the Doctor. She was there for the adventure, to become a better version of herself.
Right.
And then tragically had to have it all taken away from her.
I love that we're getting David Tennant back as the Doctor. And couple thoughts. They had said that both 12 and 11 were both in London at the same time.
It's possible we'll
get looking like their Doctor selves. And then
possible. It wouldn't be the first time they've done a multi-Doctor story.
Well, it's the 60th anniversary. And I'll take this with a grain of salt, but I hope it's true. Eccleston the other day said something has been done that will be revealed. I just finished something that will be revealed very soon.
Okay, cool.
And they just said,
and that could honestly be anything. I mean,
he's doing the audio series.
Yeah, I was gonna say, could be something with the audio series. Which, hey, that's great. I mean, if it's something more visual related to media, I'm here for it.
Right.
I feel like he ended up, not getting the chance to shine even more.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it'll be interesting.
I would be great. It would be a great way to make amends for his personal feelings towards
things that went down.
Yeah. And now it'd be like their way of extending the olive branch. Listen, it's the 60th anniversary. Everybody else is coming back. Yeah. Come on over. Let's do some shots, and we'll make it okay. And that way you could be at peace with it.
Yeah, we'll have you be involved as much as you want. Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
I'm so excited, and I'm reading right now. There's 2 stories in the comics that they did of 13 meeting 10.
That I think would be fun.
It's her and her fam going. They're trying to go to Woodstock, but instead the TARDIS takes them to 69 in London.
Okay.
Which is where the Doctor and Martha were trapped because of the Weeping Angels. So you get to see more of them in the 60s.
Very cool.
And more, and how they got caught by the Angels originally. So there's that, which I read. Fantastic, phenomenal. Well, now they also came out with another miniseries where so far it's been 2 Doctors at a time. It was 13 and 10, again, together, which I'm going to start to read. And then I also bought the next 2, which was 8 and 11 together.
Okay.
So that's a cool thing because we get to see more of 8, who is another one who kind of got the short stick.
Yeah. I mean, playing the Doctor more in the audiobooks, thankfully, but still, yeah.
Yeah. But the writer who does that 13 and 10 really gets the voices. Like I'm reading it and I can hear 13 and I can hear Graham's voice.
Nice.
When he talks, I'm like, it's right there in my head. Bravo. Because that's what with my writing, I try to be as accurate as I can with the ums and the ohs and the anything. And I think it matters. Well, in this case, I'm seeing where, the writer nailed it.
Yeah, the writer understands the source material.
And the flow of the language, and especially for 13, who's very, and kind of like bounces around in one sentence. I'm like, okay. I like it. So I'm excited to see it. And they're bringing back Stephen Moffat to write some episodes.
Good.
Right.
I don't think he's doing much of anything right now, so that'll be cool to see him because he does a really solid job at just meaningful single episode story.
Right. Amazing.
Not that he doesn't do a good job overall, but like that's where he really excels. Like when he can just dial it in.
Well, we're also watching. Mikey and I are starting Sherlock again because he doesn't remember them, and he's really appreciating Columbo and Good Detectives and stuff like that. So we watch a Columbo.
Columbo's one of those shows that still holds up even to the day.
Of course, but it's the magic of him, and it's the same thing with Sherlock. You're like, that's brilliant. Like you're watching, you're like, wow, it feels like an epic movie for each episode because it's the length of a movie. Well, we just watched the second one last night. He's like, I love this so much. I'm like, yeah, every couple of years you got to go back to these things that you already know because you're older and you can appreciate the nuances more. And for Father's Day,
all right,
one of the things that Mikey, it was Mikey's idea. I got 3 things. I got a Matchbox MacGyver car.
I see it, yeah.
Okay, it's not the Jeep. I got that before. But this is the wagon that was in the first season before he got the Jeep. I'm amazed that they actually made a Matchbox car of it. I just have to get the racing car next. But there it is. I got an Indiana Jones type of satchel.
Nice.
And the last thing I had to wait for, because Mikey really wanted me to have it. And when it came, he gave it to me. You know what it is?
What's that?
It's the Doctor's tie.
Nice. You got one of the Doctor's ties. Cool.
One of the actual there's a company that gives you the exact tie, and they have all of them.
Oh yeah.
And so we're going through them and we're talking about which one we like best. And there's like 3 that I really like. There's a red leaf one, which I want to get at some point. There's the swirl tie that's brown, but has the pink and blue.
Yep.
I
think that's one that I've got. Yeah.
That's from Girl in the Fireplace.
I think it's the one with the, yeah.
Right. And then the one that he got me is, it's a brown, but it has a design. It's called the Utopia tie.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Let me see. I'll type it in now. Doctor Who Utopia tie. Yeah, it's got to be Utopia tie, and I'll explain it to you in 2 seconds. It's best to just look at it. Yeah, it's the brown tie, and it's got the flower kind of like pattern. That I don't know if I could bring up a cool shot of it that'll show through the computer. Can you see that?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. See it? It's got blue. It's got pink in it. So it kind of, that's the one he got me.
Cool.
And it's identical. And the prices aren't bad for it either.
Yeah.
But that was a big Father's Day gift. And I love the fact that he cared so much. He's like, no, I thought about what would look really good on you. And that was the first one I thought to get. I'm like, that's my boy. And we took Duffy camping for the first time about a month ago.
I saw photos of you going camping with Duffy.
It was the boys on Friday night, because the first night it's Mikey and I. Well, now we bring Duffy with us. And Duffy, the first night, by the way, 4th of July weekend. So it's crowded as can be, and everybody has their dog.
And everybody's setting off fireworks and, you know.
Yeah. Well, the first night, nobody's really there. So I kept him off the leash. I didn't have to have him on a leash. Just he didn't know where he was, so he was staying by us.
Right.
Well, I take him down. The dog has never been near water before. He's not even a year yet. Take him into the creek. And we go into the shallow part of the creek. We walk in. I go, come on. He's like, I don't think so. No, I don't know what that is.
Not certain how I feel about this.
So I keep the harness on him and I drag him into it. And as soon as his feet touch the water and he's on pebbles, he jumps. And when he lands further into the creek. So then he jumps again. And he's trying to get out of it. And he lands in more water. So he just did that. Like, it was hilarious. He goes, whoa, what the? And then eventually goes, okay, I'm tired, and realizes he's not going to sink. And now he's checking out the water.
Well, yeah, it's that uncertainty if they've never seen water before, because visually they're just seeing a
reflection.
Yeah, it's something that doesn't look natural to them. Yeah.
And he's like, okay, this isn't bad. So then I go, let's go deeper. Let's find a deeper spot. So we bring him a little deeper, and he's hesitant. We drag him into it. And he's like, okay, not bad. Okay. I'm going to climb this big rock over here so I'm out of the water, but then he'll get back in it.
Yeah.
And then I thought, all right, I know a spot where it's deep for us, where we have to swim. So we walk him down there, and we take our time, and okay, it's all right. And he's checking it out, and there's fish in there. So he's like looking at the fish. And then I drag him and throw him into the deep part of the water.
All right.
Do you know not all dogs can swim?
Yeah, actually, I did know that.
Didn't know that before. No, he can swim, thank God.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he's swimming.
But it's that initial shock of what the heck's going on.
Yeah, and he's like, get me out of this, get me out of this, get me out of this. And he swims, and he gets out of it. And then eventually he started to go in on his own. He's like, you know what? Going back in.
Yeah, because he realized that it,
So we made sure. Yeah, and we're like, there you go. And of course, he loves to be told he's a good boy.
Well,
I'm a good boy. All right, I'll swim again. And any dog that he saw, he made friends with, because he loves everybody and everything. But each day we made a point to drag him into the water. Like, this will cool you off, and I wanted the girls to see him swim.
I mean, even now, it's as hot as it's been.
Yeah, this is the hottest. It wasn't this hot last year. Last year we got away with it pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, this heat is god awful. Like, I'm not expressing it nearly enough because we don't have air conditioning hooked up. We're trying to save money. We just have fans. But in this room, it's always in the winter, it's the coldest, and in the summer, it's the hottest.
Yep.
I have the window open, I have a fan going, but I don't have it turned up because I didn't want it to affect our audio.
Yeah.
But we're saving a bundle, but holy crap, we're just laying around this weekend doing nothing.
Yeah.
Let's see. 2 other things on this list.
Oh, we did the front and the back, huh?
Yeah. Oh no, 3 things. The
Oh.
Batman. What were your thoughts on the Batman?
I really enjoyed the Batman.
Mm-hmm.
I like that we got to actually see him being a methodical detective.
Yep.
And utilizing tech in a really good manner. Like the whole thing with the contacts. Like Jess and I, when we first watched it, we're like, he's kind of creeping out, staring at stuff. And then like the next scene where they show him taking the, and reviewing the footage, I'm like, brilliant, wonderful way. And it also kind of has that it gives that unsettlingness that Batman can have by just staring at stuff,
Mikey went to the movies twice to see it. Once with me and then once with his friends. He's like telling everybody, you shut up and you pay attention.
Yeah. It was very well done. And I even like that they showed the budding partnership relationship with Catwoman.
Okay.
That I thought was really wonderfully done. Zoe Kravitz just did amazing with the role. The Riddler I thought was very interesting take on it. Very, very well done. I like how we got a glimpse of the Joker.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I actually saw the deleted scene where they would have actually shown us the Joker.
Yep.
And as nice as it would have been to have that scene in there, I think it works more
as a teaser, as
just a tease, so that we'll see him again. One thing that kind of frustrated with me, because you know how people always does it. Did you know videos that show up on TikTok or Facebook or YouTube? There's this guy that's like, did you know that the fluid that Batman injects himself is venom from the
bull crap.
And I screamed at I paused it, I screamed at my phone. I'm like, that's fucking adrenaline, you dumbass.
Yeah, it's adrenaline, you idiot. I know what you want it to be, but
yeah, because every iteration, anytime you see adrenaline, and I don't know if this is true to reality or not, but anytime you've seen adrenaline in TV, media, video games, whatever, it's always shown as this like palish green fluid. And I'm like, that's got to be adrenaline. It would make the most sense. And like, I went and clicked on the comment section because at that point I was that fired up. I'm like, I'm gonna go off. And like 30 people had already been like, tell me you don't understand things by just spouting off nonsense. That's adrenaline. That's adrenaline. Too bad it's already been confirmed as adrenaline. Like all kinds of stuff. I'm like, okay, my work is done and I don't even have to do it.
I've learned to not respond even though I really want to, because 1, it's not good for my soul. 2, people have already done it.
Yeah. And
you know what I mean?
If nobody else commented on it, I would have been like, too bad it's clearly adrenaline.
Sure.
You need to chill with your self-pushing of what you want.
Your agenda.
I really enjoyed it. I like that they said, for now, we're going to do 1, and then with the reception of it and everything, they've decided to, I think, do at least 1 more, or I think we are getting a trilogy.
We're getting TV shows, too.
Yeah, which I think is good. I loved Colin Farrell.
He's great.
Like, we're watching the movie, and Jess is like, that can't be him. I'm like, it's him, though. That's,
There were a couple expressions where I could see him, his
you
eyes.
You can see it. But it's like he did a really good job in that role.
Excellent. Excellent job.
I can't think of the actor's name, the one that was the crime boss.
Falcone,
yeah. I love that actor.
Yeah.
That actor is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing him get to be, in a Batman flick as that character was really cool. I liked that watching the film, because having HBO Max, I've been watching a lot of the animated movies and stuff like that.
Oh, good.
And like right before we saw that movie, I had just watched
The Long Halloween,
because both parts were on HBO Max at that time. And that movie was phenomenal. But then seeing the inspiration being pulled from that into that film, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
I love the fact that they allowed him to go, oh, I can't just hide in the shadows. Like they had him help people.
Yeah.
That was the most important scene. As much as I loved everything else, and he was a detective, to have him lead people out and not just go, well, I stopped the bad guy. Sorry for all your wreckage. Bye.
And I have a funny feeling, very similar to what Christopher Nolan did with his Batman trilogy. We saw the evolution of both Bruce Wayne and Batman through his trilogy. I think we're going to see a similar thing with this new one.
Yeah.
Showing the evolution. Like he's not the same. He showed growth as Batman between the beginning and the end of the film.
Like he's there holding the hand of the person that's about to be lifted off into the helicopter, and he stands there, and it's like, it's okay. Like, you know, I'm like, there it is. That was the payoff. He wasn't a one-note character.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see that not just as Batman, but we're also going to see him become the Bruce Wayne that, you know, is charismatic.
I hope so.
I
hope so.
Like that, I mean, say what you will about his portrayal of Edward Cullen in the Twilight movies. Robert Pattinson is a very talented actor.
Well, sure.
They've got the right kind of team to work with. It's phenomenal. I can't wait to see what they do next.
Me too. And it was great to see him as a detective.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got glimpses of him as a detective here and there, but this we actually got to see him putting in the work. And they weren't afraid to show him not necessarily fail, but stumble.
Right, because it's year one or whatever.
Yeah, like him flying in the glider suit and then hitting that, you know,
that's great.
Tumbling, or revving up the Batmobile and then flooding it, you know. Just like, I was like, oh, and then he kicks it in and like, yes.
That scene was great when he's like, I got you, I got you. Like, oh.
And I loved it. It was unsettling, but I loved it because it showed it from his perspective, where you saw the action from his angle.
Yep. And the relationship with Gordon, I thought, was wonderful.
Yeah,
he's like, I need you to hit me. Hey, you could have pulled your punch. I did pull my punch.
Yeah, it's just like it was, and just phenomenal. They've made great choices in what they did with that film.
Now, the last two things that are on my list.
All right,
big one, Quantum Leap.
I have been trying not to get too down the rabbit hole. From the things that I've seen and read, it is not going to be a reboot.
Nope, it's connected.
Yep, it's connected through just the program alone, but also Ernie Hudson's character.
How about that? Magic.
As soon as they revealed that, I'm like, oh shit, that's a brilliant way to do it. You know?
Got me.
So
you got me.
I'm excited for it. My mom, because that was a show my mom and I used to watch together. She's just like, well, I'm confused. I thought this was going to be a so I had to explain to her, like, there's a lot of misnomer information being sent around because everybody wants to call everything a reboot, and realistically, this is a revitalization.
Right.
And she's like, okay, see, that makes a lot more sense. And I kind of like walked her through why it's a revitalization. She's like, okay, so she's like, so basically what? The project got mothballed and they're bringing it back with somebody who's tied. Yes. And she's like, okay, that's kind of neat.
And the first,
he's fun, you know.
The first episode was supposed to, they've seen the footage and he leaps into somebody during the 89 earthquake in San Francisco. But since then, NBC has asked to reshoot the pilot. So now he's leaping into a jewel heist. I don't know how they're going to edit. I listened to the Quantum Leap podcast, and
wonder why they made that decision.
I don't know, but the one guy read the first script and said they got it. We could relax. They got the spirit. They're not messing with anything, and they're looking for Sam.
I figured they probably would be, because that would have been the plot for the next season.
Exactly.
They just aren't going to be using Al because.
Right. Well, I can't wait till they address that too.
I'm hoping they're going to do the character and the actor justice.
Of course, sure they will. Of sure. Well, Scott Bakula wouldn't allow for anything else, and
and I know he's an executive producer for sure, right?
No,
or consultant.
He was rooting for it and trying to make it happen. So I don't know what part he'll play, but originally it's the search for Sam.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, then they revealed that Scott Bakula had signed on to do a different show on NBC. So we're like, so it's not going to be Sam? Well, guess what? It was announced this week that show isn't going forward. Huh. So he's going to be free to show up on Quantum Leap.
Yeah, and realistically, just because he's attached to another show doesn't mean he couldn't eventually.
Well, which is what we thought. He would make appearances, but maybe they'll go, here's what I think happened. They were doing a board meeting, and the one guy says, hey, Bob, so we got that Quantum Leap is going to be starting in September. Oh, it's Scott Bakula? Yeah, that's why I approved it. No, Scott has a different show. On our network? Yeah, not anymore. And because they just said it wasn't moving forward.
Yeah.
I'm betting the people behind the scenes are going, no, if you can get Scott Bakula to beat Sam Beckett again, you get Scott Bakula.
And they probably did it so that there would be no conflict that could arise up to prevent it from happening.
And I read an interview where they said, yeah, that's the plan. Everybody wants Sam back, but right for the first few episodes, we're going to get to know these new characters.
Yeah. And it wouldn't surprise me if it's a situation kind of like what they did with the Evil Leaper.
Which, by the way, we're on the last disc of the last season with the family.
Wow.
I'm wrapping this up just in time for the new episodes.
Cool.
And we just watched the return of the Evil Leaper last night.
Yeah. But yeah, they could treat it, the search for Sam where they find him, but because of how long he's been leaping, he leaps before they get the chance to like stabilize or whatever.
That's right.
And that's an ongoing thing. That way, such and such show wants Scott Bakula one for a 2-episode arc, or that way he's still free to do his things, but still come back and be Sam Beckett.
Exactly. And the last thing, we have like 5 minutes left before this ends. Indiana Jones.
Okay.
I found on eBay.
Okay.
And I wasn't planning on buying it, even though it's something I've always wanted, an Indiana Jones leather jacket.
Fair.
My jackets are very similar because they're brown leather. They're like MacGyver's brown bomber, yada.
It's a look.
But there's something that hangs a certain way with the indie jackets.
Mm-hmm.
There's no.
I think it's the way the seams are like.
Well, there's no knit parts here or in the waist, and it hangs. It's almost a mid-length coat.
Mm-hmm.
So I found one on eBay for they wanted $100 or more.
Mm-hmm.
I said, how about 50? And they gave it to me.
There
and I got it, and it's an official licensed jacket, but it's not leather and it's not pleather. It looks just like leather, but it's very light. So it hangs so I can wear it in the fall and not sweat like crazy.
There you go.
But if you look at it, you can't tell the difference. It's a dark brown. Yeah, I'll show you it when I eventually get to wear it.
Yeah.
And I've been reading I read the first volume of the Marvel. They come out with omnibuses of the 3 volumes and then 2 Dark Horse volumes. I have them all.
Nice.
I read the first volume, and it's adorable to see how they tried to write stories before they really knew who the character was. They always have him wearing gloves.
Mm-hmm.
They always have him lose his hat and he doesn't care. I'm like, you didn't know who Indiana Jones was at the time, But yeah, I'm really in an Indiana Jones mood.
That's
and
great.
They're planning on announcing the next product line in September.
Oh, good.
Ahead of the movie. Yeah. So I can't wait. That means we're going to get new action figures.
New action figures, new merch.
I want a 6-inch like indie action plastic like they do with the Star Wars.
Yeah.
Give me a good indie.
A good sculpt, Yeah. That'd be really nice.
And I think that's it. There was one other Indiana Jones thing I was going to. I started to rebuy the 3 1/4-inch figures on eBay if I could get them for a good deal, just because I had bought them.
Yeah.
had the Indiana Jones ones, but the extra ones like Short Round, and I put to the side, storing them for safekeeping. I don't know where they are.
Oh no.
Yes, now I've had to I'm slowly, when the price is right, getting them again. And I got an Indiana Jones pin for like other jackets that isn't too gaudy. It's like very subtle.
Yeah.
It doesn't go Indiana Jones whipping hat. It just says, adventure, whatever.
Yeah.
They wanted like $30 some, which is what they go for at the Disney store. I got it for like $5.
Well, that's not bad.
If you bargain with people, you go, eh? And they're like, yeah, all right. If you want it, it's yours.
Yeah. I mean, it never hurts to ask. I mean, the worst they could say is no.
Right. So. And I think we are all caught up on our list for this round of the Never Gets Old podcast. Yeah, we have 3 minutes. I mean, it'll stop recording, but you and I can still shoot the bull afterwards if we want.
Yeah.
I don't think I missed anything.
No, I was going to say we bump down through the list, I think. So.
Which once in a while we have to do that. Like usually we can shoot the bull and we'll talk on feelings and stuff. Yeah. But in this case, this was Newsarama or NewsApalooZa, I should say.
And I was not disappointed with any of the information that came out this weekend.
Me neither. I'm still so overwhelmed with excitement and
like
thankful.
As I told Jess last night when all the Marvel stuff dropped, what a time to be alive.
Right. I always said that.
Yeah.
I always say we're in the golden age of pop culture greatness.
Yep. I mean, yeah, we still got to deal with, the malarkey sometimes, but
overall, I'm just so thankful for all the powers that be. And I'm thankful for you, our wonderful audience.
Absolutely.
Keep it coming.
Talking to each other.
We have new items in our Redbubble and TeePublic stores. I'm constantly adding new merch.
Stuff up there, yeah.
And they always have sales, so please follow the Forever Adventure Network page.
Where they don't have some kind of sale, either phone cases, T-shirts, everything.
Everything. And like I said, new designs that I'm creating myself and throwing on there. Plus, there's Nate's store.
Yep.
Please go get it. Yep. I'm waving my Stargate flag proudly outside.
Very nice. Yep.
We got a new roof put on our house this week, and I had to take it down because they're like, you don't want to get that dirty. I'm like, you're darn right I don't.
Yeah.
But everybody, we'll catch you next time. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for buying stuff. Thanks for supporting us. And as always, remember, wait a minute, wait for your cue, darn it.
Oh, darn. I was too excited.
And remember, everybody,
stay excited.
There you go. The Never Gets Old podcast is part of the Forever Adventure Network and made possible by your donations through Patreon. If you'd like to help us out, please go to the Forever Adventure Network by Mac Jackson on Patreon and help by subscribing, rating, and reviewing wherever podcasts are heard. We also have a Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube channel. The show's music is by Harmony Constant and available wherever music is sold. Thanks for listening, everybody. And remember, stay excited.
The Forever Adventure Network. Welcome to the adventure.